The spirit of March Madness. 3, 2, 1.
One for me.
It's all over.
No.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is episode.
39.
Is it 30? 39? 39. Whoa,
39.
We're heading towards old man territory. And yes, do not adjust your aspect rate, or no, well, not the aspect ratio. This is not the Snyder cut. Do not adjust your contrast ratio. Yes, Kevin is rocking the farmer's tan. Only because my Trojans, as we record this, are playing the Jayhawks in the field of 32. They're probably getting their ass handed to them, but I don't know. I'm not watching.
The Jayhawks.
Anyways, welcome to PS Comics. I love you. He is the hostess with the mostest, the Dark King, aka the Falcon, for this next couple of weeks. He is JR Cabacungan at also not JR Comics 42. Check him out. He's got some books heading your way, boys.
Call me Cap.
There you go. I'm telling you right now, JR has got some keys to your collection, and we are going to hit that up next week. We are doing it. We're calling an audible. We're going full Peyton Manning, Omaha, and we're calling an audible because as much as we did this past week with Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Friday night, which, by the way, thank you everybody for hanging with us and whatnot. Also, I'm Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. We just decided, hey, let's call an audible. Let's go Snyder cut, and that's what we're not doing tonight. And we promise you that we are not going to go full Snyder cut and do 4 hours of this podcast like we did a couple weeks ago with WandaVision. So, without further ado, what's up?
Good episode, by the way.
It was a great episode. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun editing. I learned some new tricks with that episode. Hey. So, with that said, my dude, let's get right into the news and notes because we are not going to skimp out on it for you just because our girl's here waiting in the wings. Which, by the way, yes, that is, believe it or not, Gal Gadot. I will explain the significance of this picture in just a couple of moments. So, speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, we are talking about John freaking Wick himself, Keanu mother effing Reeves,
man,
the star of the comic book sensation that is BRZRKR, that is BRZRKR. Did not take long, my friend.
No, it did not. Absolutely.
One of the top selling comics of 2021. One of the most anticipated books of 2020. This book was supposed to come out 6 months ago. It was hyped that much. Nerds went, dude, we can wait.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be good, we can wait. And boy, did we wait. Not only did it break record sales numbers here locally for all three comic book shops. Asylum went nuts. They actually raffled off a autographed CGC of it. I think it was. Was it CGC?
It's gonna be CGC. Yeah,
it is gonna be CGC. It is autographed by the man himself. But not only is he getting a second print, but he's also getting a foil print of issue number 1 of BRZRKR. Oh, by the way, the good friends at Netflix called. Yeah, Keanu, what's up, bro? We want to make it into a show, bro. And boom, there it goes. Which, by the way, I have a cool picture of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
From was he? I always forget. He's Bill, right?
Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted.
Which one is
he?
He's Ted. He's Ted.
Yeah.
Ted Esquire, or whatever.
Yeah.
There is a great meme floating around of him as Ted in the new Bill and Ted. And of course, he looks old. Yeah. And someone goes, "Bro, why am I looking at Keanu Reeves in the new Bill and Ted movie and thinking he's going to give 2 points to Hufflepuff?" He looks like Professor Slytherin. I will try and see if I can post it on our Instagram page. But nonetheless, Netflix has optioned BRZRKR already to a TV series. I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's going to be a TV series. It's actually both. He's going to be doing a full-on live action movie for Netflix, and then there is going to be an animated version that he's also going to be voicing.
So yeah, like JR said, Keanu Reeves is playing the titular character from Berserker. I have not read my book yet. I do have it. I am going to plan on reading it because it is one of I'm like JR. I mean, I know you read a lot of books, but you do collect a lot of books. I've gotten more into the collecting mode. I will peruse Marvel Unlimited. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to get DC Universe or whatever it's called, the new DC Universe Limited, which is their version of all their comics on digital. But if I had to recommend, guys, highly recommend Marvel Unlimited. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to give Marvel any more of my money. Do whatever you want to. Or Comixology Unlimited is also a good one, because it's a good chance for you to read some books, have unlimited access, and not have to ruin those collector's items that you have in those long boxes. But nonetheless, like JR said, fresh off the success of the comic book of the same name, Netflix bit the bullet and pounced on the rights for an immediate adaptation that will spawn 2 iterations. Like JR said, a live action film and an anime adaptation, both starring Keanu Reeves in the main role of the lead character. He's also producing the adaptation, which is what he has done with the comic book. He's wrote it, but he's mostly like telling like, hey guys, this is the story I want to tell. And then he brings in comic book writers.
Matt Kent also is the one who co-written the book. And Matt Kent, they're actually, if you remember correctly, a couple of podcasts ago, we were talking about this book. The reason why I got pushed back is because there was a controversy going around the original artist, right? The original artist was, I think, not Bermaja, but somebody else, right? And they had to take off all his art and redo his art with the new artist, Ron Garney. And so that's the reason why it took so much longer. And I think people didn't want to foot the bill, and so that's the reason why I went to Kickstarter. And that's the reason why you have all these things going on. But granted, man, like the second you have Keanu Reeves on your freaking docket, your book, your whatever is gonna sell, because Keanu Reeves is the man. He is my biggest man crush of all freaking time. So of course he'll get my money, whenever he does something.
Oh yeah, that was the reason why I bought the book, because to me, right off the bat, it looked a lot like, it was very John Wick-esque on steroids.
It's very much. I've heard complaints about people saying, "Oh, that's just like Old Guard." I'm like, well, Old Guard had to do with 4 immortals, right? It's more so. Berserker is more so if John Wick didn't lose his wife, but was still kind, but was also immortal. That was basically it. Which is fine, because one, Keanu Reeves can get away with that. He's Keanu Reeves. Whatever he's touching right now, other than maybe Cyberpunk 2020, other than Cyberpunk, whatever it is, right? He can get away. He can get away with whatever. He can get away with nearly anything. And so right now, that is the thing to look around. Dude, that book sold like freaking bonkers. It sold 615,000, and just as of February 4th. We don't know the full numbers now, man, but from what I'm hearing, from what I'm seeing, it is the best-selling book in the last couple of years by a wide margin, even outselling Spawn. Was it the most recent Spawn? I think 300, which even though that was huge too. I've seen numbers where it outsold last year from my boy. They call it crossover. It was from my boy
Donny Cates.
Donny Cates, and I forgot the artist's name. Stegman as well. I think Stegman's on it too, by like 3 times, bro. It's crazy. It's insane. So like, of course, Netflix is like, you know what? No, you're gonna swap that up immediately. Because Netflix right now is in the comic book game, the comic book adaptation game, where they're just going straight for, hey, let's go independence. Let's do all these, these kind of weird niche type of things. And so, hey, Berserker, that's a good pickup. I'm hoping they pick up probably some other books. I'm looking at crossover. I'm looking at possibly, or they might be looking at possibly what's the book that you love? This the one with the with the very risque covers.
Sia? No, Sia. Lola?
No. It's the very, very, like, literally a cover is like
Faithless.
Faithless. Yeah.
I know that. Yeah, I know that. There's been talk of Faithless. And for those of you that want to judge, so to speak, on the risk,
Okay.
like, oh, the reason why you collect, or only reason why you like the book is because it's nude girls, and it's not like that, really. It's I honestly, to chase this rabbit for a second, Maria
Okay. Yeah.
Levette, I
I'm
believe
gonna
is
get
what her
comfortable.
name is,
Go ahead. Go ahead. But
is a fantastic artist that's very unique. It's different. It's not like what you see behind JR, like in a Jim Lee cover.
really?
Uh, it's not the big pecs, big boobs, over the top of the 90s and the 2000s Jim Lee. It's not the overabundance of pouches from the man who shall not be named,
No.
Rob
No.
Liefeld. It's not the curviness of a J. Scott Campbell. It's not the soft anime style of an Art Germ. It's not the over the top anime style of a Peach Momoko.
Mm.
And it's not the borrowed, like what's our buddy's name that's doing a lot of DC stuff? Marietta.
Oh no, not Marietta. Are you talking about borrowed? Oh, that's it. I know who you're talking about. Oh man, I forgot his name. Matina.
Matina, yeah, borrowed by Matina.
Borrowed.
Matina,
Okay.
Matina is like a bride on her wedding day. Something blue, something old, something borrowed. And sorry, we'll get into that controversy maybe another day.
Eventually.
I actually had a great conversation, but again, shout out to our boy Daniel Cueto for listening,
Hey.
and also Chick at Comic Asylum
Mhm.
for we had a little conversation about Matina.
I mean,
We'll get into that. We'll chase that rabbit. But no, I like Marie Levette, and I think really and truly, it has nothing to do with the sexuality. I mean, yeah, it does have something to do with the sexuality.
yeah, but like,
It doesn't need to be overtly
yeah, I mean,
like risque,
yeah,
X-rated, or whatever. I just don't think that you can do Berserker in live action. It's been proven. You can do an over the top, crazy action flick
yeah,
with basically looks like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld had a baby in the form of what Berserker is drawn like. He's big, muscular, and has pouches everywhere. But the only thing is, he has a good feet.
yeah,
Merly, like doing a Faithless, you almost has to be animated.
yeah,
It can't be done live
yeah,
action because it has to be done in that style.
yeah.
Which is like I was talking to my wife the other day about some of the artwork that we have, which I'm going to do a tour of the office here in our new setup, and I've got some pictures hanging on the wall. I have some David Mack on the wall, and looking back at Jessica Jones, which he famously drew Alias and then did Jessica Jones in the reboot, was it almost made me want to see an animated series of Jessica
Jones?
Jones drawn by David Mack, because I just love his style and how he draws the characters. Like, but yeah, doing
Yeah,
Faithless, doing Heartless, doing or not Heartless, Heartbeat, or Faithless. It would have to be animated.
yeah,
But I think that's what intrigues me about Berserker is they're going to make attempt at a full feature action flick,
yeah,
and then do the anime. And like I said, it's going to be cool to see this character that obviously that looks like Keanu Reeves. It's inspired by Keanu Reeves and be voiced and acted by
I
Keanu.
can. Like, yeah, just if you can change that rabbit hole just a little bit more. I mean, like, when it comes to Faithless, yeah, the art style it's definitely one of those ones where even though it's there to accentuate the female form specifically, and just sex in general, it's definitely one of those IPs where you need to have it animated because just some of the crazier quote unquote panels that we've read on that, I can only think of it as animated. I can only think of this. And to keep taking chase that, like this whole like weird quandary of people looking down upon, like, I guess, newer forms of like quote unquote erotic art, right? I'm like, yo, dude, we got like 1,000-year art of Zeus as a goose, screwing a lady in bed. Like that's in a museum somewhere. Like,
Yeah,
come on, bro, stop it. Like, like this is new age art, right? And
yeah.
people are still very much akin to like, oh, it's comic books. So, oh my gosh, you're that type of person to look at nude girls on comic books. I'm like, bro, we've had literally a whole 5-6 year era of of older women or older people in general getting off on the idea of having, relations with uh a twinkling vampire or a non-hairy werewolf who are underage. We've also come with the era now where we've had a lot of people very much into BDSM
Yeah.
because of some 50 Shades of Grey. I'm like, when you try to put down other people's niche because you see something that is quote unquote, erotic, even though you obviously support that type of a sexual fantasization, like it's very, very ironic and very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Not offensive, but what's the word I'm looking for, man? It's hypocritical. There you go. It's very
Yeah.
hypocritical. So other than that, I'm looking forward to Berserker. I'm looking forward to more Keanu Reeves stuff. Granted, again, I keep on saying this, he's getting older. I would have loved to see this shit when he was like in his 30s, because he definitely would have killed it then. He's still gonna kill it, but like, it's my guy. He wants to do every freaking action set piece himself. And so he's pushing 50. So
Yeah, that's
that's
what
the
worries me
thing.
a little bit.
And he's in these heavy, heavy action style movies. He's doing 2 more John Wicks. He's doing another Matrix. He's probably gonna be doing a couple other films just because he wants to.
He's
And
gonna
now
do
he's doing
Marvel.
Berserker.
He's gonna do Marvel. I know he's
I'm
gonna do
saying
Marvel.
he's gonna
By
do
the
another.
way,
If he does a Marvel flick, I don't want no action scenes from him. I want him to be, if he's gonna be a villain, I want him to be that, that menacing, in the background, I'm gonna control everything villain. So,
Victor Von Doom.
yeah, but then Victor Von Doom also gets his
I
hands
know,
dirty. I would
dude.
love
My
to see it.
my boys doing freaking work.
All right.
Sorry,
Well,
I just
no,
got the
no.
alert. My 81-49 USC with 2 minutes to play,
Is the
putting
Jayhawks?
against the Jayhawks, putting a beat down. Now, I didn't think they should have chanced, but I had to go out on a limb. I actually picked USC to beat Kansas. It was a tough pick, but
Who was it? Who? How many projected first round picks does Jayhawks have right now?
I at
None.
least probably got to have one or two there. It's
That's what I'm thinking.
Kansas, bro.
Yeah, it's Kansas.
But
Wow. Okay.
oh my goodness, yeah. Just sorry, I had a little sports break there.
It's all good,
Uh,
man. I bring up Lakers all
eh,
the time, so go
yeah.
ahead.
Berserker. I'll be. It is going to be one of those things. Like, all right, guys, let's go. You got to get right into it because like I said, Keanu's not getting any younger.
What it's crazy too,
Um,
because the second book isn't the second issue isn't out yet.
I
I don't
know it's
think
crazy.
it's crazy. So it just
Yeah,
came
no,
out.
they haven't because they haven't even released the. They have a. I think tomorrow. Um I think what comes out tomorrow is the foil edition reprint of issue 1, and I think there is a two
Yeah.
print, a second print
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. It
So,
is. Which
anyways,
I'm
check it
definitely
out.
gonna
I
get.
do highly recommend it. It's a book you want to get on your pull list. It's also a book that you're going to want to hold on to and collect
Yeah.
again.
That's.
We do have a collector's issue, the collector's episode probably coming up next week.
Yep.
After, of course, our review of episode number 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. By the way, we'll tag it at the end of this video. Go check it out. A full on spoiler review of episode number 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Another oldie but a goodie coming out of retirement, and that is our good friend Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Crazy.
Jim Carrey is coming back to reprise his role that put him into the freaking stratosphere as an actor back in the mid 90s. Absolutely fantastic movie. Ace Ventura 1, Ace Ventura Pet Detective was Ace Ventura When Nature Calls. The second one, it had its downfalls, but at the same time, it still has some of its most memorable thing. I at my day job, I have a little golf cart that I would drive through the yard, and it bounced around, and I can't help myself go, oh, you chitty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang, just like Ace Ventura does. And I know that, okay, you freaking crazy nerds out there, the older nerds, I understand that it originally came from the movie called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I actually saw the movie. I want to show the kids it coming soon, but Ace Ventura is in development and has some familiar writers. Amazon Studios picked up the franchise with the writers of Sonic the Hedgehog. Pat Casey, and Josh Miller. So it'll be kind of cool. It's
Yep.
probably might get a theatrical release, but most likely it's going to go straight to Amazon Prime, which, by the
Fine
way,
too.
doing massive numbers because if they have
Yeah.
these matrix that each platform has that determine how many downloads or how many streams a movie has, and based on, and I think some of them from Mutual Admirations Club share some of their statistics, like, oh, we had 4 million people watch this movie over the weekend. According to what I heard, the number one movie before the Snyder cut, because I think this thing's going to blow some stuff up,
Yep.
is coming to America. Absolutely
Oh yeah.
wrecking numbers
Of course.
on Amazon Prime
Of
right now. And
course.
I
Of freaking
want to see it. My
course.
wife and I are going to set aside, I think one of these weekends, maybe we'll do it over spring break, is we're gonna go double feature. We're gonna watch
good.
the original
You have to.
and watch this.
You
I
have
see the
to.
trailer and I'm like, I have to see it.
You have
It's
to. Yeah.
so anyways, so and you know me, I'm a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. I know it's a kids movie, it's stupid, it's dumb, but it's Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, back to being Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik is hysterical. He finds a way to be funny, somewhat lovable, but at the same time a creepy little asshole in this movie.
Yeah, which is good. That's exactly it. Again, it's if people want to go full on source material, it's a far cry from the actual Dr. Robotnik, just from looks wise. But then overall, man, it's freaking, you know what you're getting with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey has been one of my favorite actors for a very, very long time as well.
Don't challenge him because he'll put the weight on.
Exactly.
Don't challenge Dr. What do they call him? Dr. Egg, or what was it? Oh, Egghead?
Robotnik. Yeah, Egghead. Yeah, it's like my even though he's a well-renowned comedian, and just his run on multiple shows has been freaking amazing. Specifically right now, even his acting chops right now, and his impromptu chops right now, because he's been doing SNL for a little bit. He's great. My favorite movie from
he was doing Biden, right?
Yeah, he was doing Biden. But like my favorite movie from him all the time is still to this day Eternal Sunshine for a Spotless Mind, where I think he won an Oscar, I think.
No, he did not. That was one of them, where it was that one, and well, he didn't get everyone said he should have been nominated for Truman Show. He definitely should have been nominated for Truman Show. It was so good.
Yeah.
And the female lead in that movie, and I can't think of her name, is so good.
Truman Show or Sunshine?
Truman Show.
Okay.
Truman Show. And I'm not talking about Laura Linney, who plays his Truman Show wife. It's the girl that he's after, that he tries to hook up with outside of the Truman Show. She was in a show called Californication with David Duchovny, which is a hysterical show. It's so good, so well written. Kind of jumps the shark at the end to try to stick the landing, but it does a great job. Such a good cast. I highly recommend it. It's on I think it's on Showtime. But anyways, check it out. Californication. It's a good flick. It's not safe for work. It says some naughty words and it shows some naughty bits. But it's David Duchovny. It shows his range as an actor. I'm just gonna chase a rabbit real quick.
Mm-hmm.
David Duchovny is known for one thing: X-Files.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, where he plays Mulder and plays opposite the two just total sticks in the mud. No personality. They're FBI agents. No offense to anybody watching it's in the FBI. Mad love for Quantico. But he played that dramatic role, and that's all he got was dramatic roles. But really and truly, one of the best performances he ever did was Evolution with oh my gosh, I can't think of his name now, but it was with the crazy dinosaur monsters that like invade like Tucson or something like that, and he's like a scientist. You never saw? Oh my gosh, Evolution. It's got Stifler from the American Pie movies.
Okay.
And it's funny, but it showed his ability to play a comedic role, and then he gets into Californication, which is a dramedy. And he's just really, really good. And there's an actor again to do 6 degrees of separation. His ex-wife, girlfriend, whatever, in the show is the girl that Jim Carrey chases in the Truman Show. And I just think she's a phenomenal actress.
Yep.
But anyways, going back to Jim Carrey, like you said, the writing crew that he's working with is the crew that's from Sonic the Hedgehog. With
Yep.
that said, as we know, Sonic the Hedgehog is getting a part due, and it is out. It's supposed to be out sometime very, very soon. I don't know if they're. I think they're in pre-production for it, but
I think so. Yeah, it should be out sometime between 2022, 23. That's the cast they're trying to make, because it's more so because
they're
of
gonna
this.
have tails.
I mean, yeah, of course they are, dude. I
It's
mean,
gonna
I'm
have
hoping.
tails.
I'm
Sweet.
hoping that it's gonna be a good movie. I know that for sure. It's definitely there is definitely a market now for a lot of like niche characters from my time. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario, all of them getting full on, or even though Pikachu and Pokemon aren't necessarily called niche anymore, because you know
No,
it's a
definitely
huge
not.
brand, but like it's just that they're in animated what do they call, I guess, animated what's the word I'm looking for again, animated mascots are in.
Oh.
Yeah, animated mascots are definitely in, and we want more of them. The people
So
have
we're
spoken.
getting an Echo the Dolphin movie soon.
Possibly, if there's a market for it. I mean, we got a market for freaking Detective Pikachu with Ryan Reynolds. Come on.
That's why.
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds playing Detective Pikachu. And by the way,
Yes.
if you've never seen Detective Pikachu, I don't care if you're a Pokemon fan or not, go watch it.
Yes.
Also, it's got Caitlin Newman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Caitlin Newman,
Yeah.
who plays a lead in there, and she of course is going to be in the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where she's going to be playing Cassie Lang.
Oof.
Speaking of Marvel, which by the way, Jim Carrey, love you. You should come on the show if you're watching. I might tag you in this because that'd be huge. Speaking of Marvel, the show hasn't even aired yet. The show hasn't even wrapped yet. Hawkeye, the series, is still in production in New York or Atlanta, wherever they're shooting for New York nowadays. We got our first look at Clint Barton and Kate Bishop. No, Kate Bishop. In a little teaser in the digital premiere for Falcon and the Winter Soldier last Friday morning. And we basically finally got Haley Steinfeld admitting that she is Kate Bishop, the new Hawkeye. It was so cute. It's like fun. It's one thing. It's like, okay, Feige made it official back in December at the Investors Day, which we will talk extensively about in our collector show coming up.
Working on it.
But it was just, it's different to see her in costume and makeup, but we didn't get to see the full costume. But her talking about it, and it's just like, here's a girl who, her first acting role, she won she nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh my god.
And playing Drew Grit. It was so good. And I knew after watching that movie, this girl is going to be a movie star.
Absolutely.
And then I saw her in Pitch Perfect 2, and when this girl has range, she's going to be a mega star. She's going to be huge because she's hysterical in Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah.
And yes, your boy has seen Pitch Perfect 1, 2, and 3.
I've not seen 3. I've seen 1 and 2.
The first 2 are better.
Yeah. I mean, like, just one, Haley Steinfeld, man, is definitely one of them actresses where actors in general were like, yeah, she's gonna be ruling that class for a very long time. She has honor. She's like, in that same vein, I think Timothy Chalamet, Anna Joy Taylor, I forget her name. I think that's her name is, right? The girl who played the girl who played Magic in New Mutants, but she was perfect. Also in
She was perfect.
Yeah,
she was perfect.
And also, but yeah, she also played in the Netflix movie series Queen's Gambit. She's coming up.
That's
too.
her.
That's her. Anna Joy Taylor. That's her. And so you have these upcoming young, hungry starlets that like they have pedigree now. True, and they're all. Well, not, except for Timothy Chalamet, they're all kind of gearing towards longevity and wanting, a paycheck. And so that right now is Marvel. And they're all just kind of steering into this whole thing of like, we might have young, heavyweight actors in Marvel's stable just for a long period of time. Like we had RDJ when he was like late 30s, I think. Right? We had Captain when he was like 32, early 30s. We've had Thor when he was in his late 20s or early 30s too, and they're hitting their ages too now. But like now, we got we got some of these young actors at the right time. They're looking their age. They're looking source material age, and we might
Yeah.
have them for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I am in love with that because, like, yo, like, as much as I have love for Tom Holland. He's
Yeah.
gonna look really old in a couple years.
But you know
He's
what
gonna look,
though? It
yeah.
is you look at, and I think this is the role that they're going with, allegedly,
Mm,
with with Toby Maguire is
mm,
playing essentially
that
old man Peter,
yeah, mentor role.
the mentor role. There's always a possibility that Tom Holland is, in my opinion, I like Tobey Maguire. I liked Andrew Garfield. They
Yeah.
all have played the role differently and just as good in their adaptation. Tom Holland, in my opinion, has played it the best. He has the benefit of a shit ton of money. He has the benefit of a more comic book accurate costume. He has the luxury of being opposite Robert Downey Jr.,
I mean,
John Favreau,
yeah,
Gwyneth Paltrow,
Chris
working with
Evans.
freaking Michael freaking Keaton in his
Come
first
on,
standalone,
I'm saying,
and then working with another Academy Award nominated, if not winner, Jake Gyllenhaal, who,
oh
by
yeah,
the way, fight me, Mysterio could be top 5 best villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
his motivations are so much better. Now that I
Um,
now like some people are gonna like sugarcoat it, be like, oh no, that's small motivations, but like it's it fits that world
yeah,
in the sense of like you because Spider-Man, Spider-Man Homecoming in that series, right, have always been super lighthearted.
yeah,
And from that you have this awesome, for me, this great backstory of a guy, all because one of the main criticisms is that people wanted multiverse,
yeah,
right? They heard multiverse, so they wanted multiverse. It wasn't multiverse, right? It was something a lot. He subverted expectations, and it was just, for me, it felt very much like, yeah, you know what, RDJ, not RDJ, but Tony was a dick to a lot of people. you know and like, yeah, he did some he did a couple of shady stuff, and so this might be a good way to somehow get back. It made sense to me, like it fits that world as best as it can, if that makes sense, like.
yeah,
And I would love to have him back, Jake Gyllenhaal, in your stable for a solid running as being possibly the most accurate Mysterio ever. So
yeah.
easily,
Um,
easily.
with that said,
Yes, sir.
um, back to the topic at hand,
Mm-hmm.
is before the show has even aired, and like I said, it hasn't even wrapped yet.
That's right.
We
Oh,
already have a spinoff, Hawkeye spinoff series already in development, centered around the deaf Native American superhero Echo. The series has
mhm.
already entered stages of early development with Ethan and Emily Cohen.
Yep.
Maya Lopez Echo will be played by Alaqua Cox, who is also going to be appearing in Hawkeye.
Yep.
And the series would debut on Disney Plus. So
Yep.
I like that they're going off. They're continuing to kind of go kind of out of left field
Yeah.
on these characters.
Mm.
Echo is, I think, one of those characters that's going to get introduced and people are going to fall in love with,
Yeah.
much like, spoiler alert, Agatha Harkness. I think that
Mhm.
people are going to kind of flock to her, much like they did, because people know more or less who the Scarlet Witch is. But even then, when Age of Ultron came out,
Mhm.
I had people ask me, like, who the hell is Quicksilver? Who the hell is Scarlet Witch?
Yeah.
And I had to kind of explain to them who they're like, oh my gosh, they'll just give superpowers to anybody. I'm like, well, these are golden age superheroes. I mean,
Yeah. They've been around
like,
for a while.
whatnot. So now you've done this great job at developing these characters, and now you're throwing out stuff like Miss Marvel. You're throwing
Mhm.
out stuff like, okay, well, we know that Clint Barton is Hawkeye. Who the hell is Kate Bishop? Who's
Mhm.
Echo? Who is
Mhm.
Ironheart? Who is this?
Yup.
Who is that? So I had a friend of mine ask me today, who the heck is Joaquin Torres? And so it's like we're getting these new characters, and I think that some people will go like, oh my gosh, they'll just make anything into a character. But I think in the long run, I think they're gonna be pretty happy with these new characters because they are thinking outside the box. They're creating new and original content. And I think it's gonna be great that that we're gonna get an Echo series.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome to see. I have to. I always have to remind myself that even though I've been in this game, this comic book game for a while now, that it's a game that is constantly evolving, that is constantly trying to keep up with the times, right? And
Yep.
so, and we do this with all we do this everything we own slash love, right? That with every age come new characters and come new retelling of old characters. And so, yeah, Maya Lopez Echo, newer character. Thor, Thor played by what's her name, dude? Not the
Oh,
actress, not Natalie Portman, but uh her comic book name.
oh my gosh, I
So
can't
I'm
think of her
saying I don't
name.
want to say female Thor because I just like no, she's Thor.
It's no the goddess of thunder.
Thor.
It's
Goddess of Thor.
the mighty Thor is
Mighty Thor,
essentially
yeah.
what.
Yeah, that's
Um.
that iteration. Well, people are gonna say, "Whoa, well, that she was in a What If." No, that's Thordis. That's a different character.
Jane Foster.
Yeah, Jane Foster became legitimate Thor in the last 5 years. Captain Marvel, well, she's been around for a while too, but she took the helm of Captain Marvel
Well,
from
I was talking
Marvel.
about Miss Marvel. I mean, I'm talking
Yeah,
about when I
Ms.
talk
Marvel
Miss
as well.
Marvel. I'm talking
Like,
about
yeah, just
Kamala Khan.
yeah, but just like more so like that. Like I have to understand for me as a comic book fan, this is good. We have newer newer fans that will be intrigued with this thing that will help continue to push this genre forward, and we'll see more movies and a lot more iterations than my ass, who will probably be much older, will be like loving it because I've got these comics and I'm going to sell them for like $100,000 each. Yeah, it is
I
that
like
type
to
of
see that.
symbiotic. It is that type of symbiotic relationship that we'll have with comic books, and I'm gonna enjoy it, man. So yeah, this deaf Native American character played by a Native American is a good thing. It's not fucking identity politics. It's good for your freaking wallet if you had this damn comic, man. Period. That's it. It's gonna be a good story and all that stuff. But moving on, my friend, the big news. Support reportedly that has come out. The big news that has reportedly come out is that the one, the only, the director of our time,
Oh yeah,
Christopher Nolan, in talks to
yeah,
direct a Marvel freaking movie.
yeah. And this comes, a lot of what Warner Brothers did, and we're going to talk about the Snyder
Mm,
cut here in just a couple
yep.
moments. What Warner Brothers did with HBO Max
Mm,
absolutely changed the industry.
yep.
Some say for the positive, some say for the negative, even the playing field or whatever it may be. Which, by the way, I kind of just turned on just for background. I turned on the Snyder cut, and
Okay.
fight me, Ben Affleck in the bat suit in Batman versus Superman. That gray, dark blue version of the costume. The
Yeah.
costume we had not seen so far.
Yeah.
Best adaptation of Batman, period. End of discussion. Goes directly to number one. Better than Bale. Reason being, I like Bale.
Uh-huh.
Bale played Batman and Bruce Wayne well, played both characters well, because you have to play two characters.
Yeah.
But the black suit was played out. The version that we saw played by Ben Affleck in BVS
Mm-hmm.
was something we hadn't seen before, and it was very I don't know. I mean, it seemed very kind of like 80s 90s version of them and stuff like that. So I kind of dug out. So anyways, we'll chase that rabbit here in just a couple minutes.
No, yeah,
But no, you got, like you said, you got Christopher Nolan, who was one of the most vocal opponents of what Warner Brothers did in in deciding that movies would, if they were available, if areas were available to be open, they would put movies in theaters for 30 days. Well, not for 30 days. They would put movies in theaters on release day,
Yeah.
but would also get a simultaneous HBO Max premiere for that would be good for 31 days. So you now have movies that are in theaters only in a select number, in a select few markets. Okay, like Los Angeles is just now for the first time in almost 12 months going to be open for business when it comes to movies. And Nolan was one of the first people to come out and say, this is bullshit. You're going to ruin, you're going to collapse the movie industry. And apparently Warner Brothers has tried to calm things down.
Yeah.
And it ain't working. Apparently he did Tenet and said, this is it. I'm done. And apparently they wanted to release Tenet on HBO Max. And he filed an injunction. He did this, he did that. And so it got a theatrical release. It was a bomb of a release. It did better overseas, but it only got to play in so many markets, and it finally went on to video on demand and doing iTunes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, it was a bomb. I heard it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But it didn't get to play anywhere. So he's been adamant that he doesn't want to go there. So the best way to stick it to Warner Brothers is to go across town and play with the House of Mouse. So it is talk that Christopher Nolan is meeting with Kevin Feige and higher ups at Disney, at Marvel. Possibly, I've also heard this. JR heard this. He is meeting with people at Lucasfilm. Now, Nolan likes things anchored in reality.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight trilogy. It's like, yes, it's a guy dressed up as a bat, and you have Bane and you have the Joker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there was never anything superhuman about anything. Scarecrow used natural pathogens to inhibit fear in his wake. Bane used a same set of skills that Bruce Wayne learned from Ra's al Ghul, but just took it a little too far. I like how they didn't address the quote steroids that they do in the comic books or whatever. And then you look at Catwoman; she's a cat burglar, just like she is in the comics. And Joker is a psychopath who is anarchist who wears clown makeup. He doesn't like doing sci-fi. He doesn't like doing that was the most comic booky he does. But then again, this is the guy who did Interstellar.
He also when it talks to sci-fi, he also did Inception too. So he knows how to play with reality.
Could you imagine him show running, producing, and directing Moon Knight?
It'd be nice. It would be nice. It would be too much. It'd be too good to be true, but it'd be nice.
Well, I leave it up to you, the listeners, you the fans. Let us know in the comments below what you think. What previously announced franchises that Marvel has laid the groundwork for that doesn't already have creators attached to it. So I mean, you got like Blade, for example. Blade doesn't have a director attached to it. All they have is Mahershala Ali, and I think one other actor attached to the show or to the movie. There's no writer, there's no director yet. So there you go.
I also keep on hearing too, though, that one of the things that have been brought up with him was Silver Surfer.
Who's that? Have Christopher Nolan do?
Christopher Nolan do Silver Surfer, or have that name attached to his with whatever movie he wants to make. Possibly. Again, these are still quote unquote rumors and I can't say allegations, but these are things that are being kicked around. Or you have someone as big as Christopher Nolan coming over, finally doing something outside of Warner Bros. And having to do a possibly a superhero slash sci-fi slash fantasy movie. And that's just big, just to even
it shows you the power of Kevin Feige. It shows you
yeah,
the power
easily.
of Disney and
Yeah.
what they can accomplish. But
Yeah.
they've got so much in front of them, and again, that's something we are going to address in our collector's issue. We are going to go back and we're going to look at that Warner Brothers shareholder day from about 2 or 3 weeks ago that JR mentioned in one of our last podcasts.
That's right.
And then also we are going to go back to December and talk about that massive Hall H level
Dude. If you
information
thought,
dump.
yeah, if you thought it was easy to get a Star Wars comic book of the last 10 years, oh my goodness, everything went up. And I was trying to look for a first canon, was it canon, the last Padawan. That book went up like crazy too. But yeah, guys, and it's books right now are just going just collecting in general, just going crazy. And so yeah, it's never late. It's never too late to get into collecting and comic book collecting specifically. You just gotta know where to start. And so yeah, guys, definitely stay in tune for that episode. We will definitely try to help mitigate your choices if you want to, or things to possibly look out for. The ones you could flip right now, or even like the ones you probably have for the long haul. Berserker being one of the long haul books that you might want to be with. But yeah, going into our main topic for the podcast, my friend. Justice League, the Snyder Cut came out a couple of days ago, my friend. And I will have to say thank you very much for letting me use your account. Just real quick, I deleted everything else. Just see Snyder Cut. I will probably eventually, buy the movie. But yeah, what did you think about it?
First off, to give you a little background, real quick background. What is the Snyder Cut?
Okay.
We have to tell a quick story, and I know I fidget. People tell me like, "Why do you fidget with your microphone so much?" I'm just.
It's a thing, all right. When you do a podcast, man, when you this is a thing that people do, all right. It's just, I know it's annoying, but it's something that we do.
So, DC Comics Justice League comes out 2017.
Yep.
On the heels of what some initial reviews of Batman versus Superman said that it was the greatest comic book movie of all time. I literally was hearing those reviews as I was walking into the theater to watch Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. And I was mildly entertained right up until the very end with the Martha moment to completely hit eject. I was out. But I got reeled back in with the opportunity to see them have completed Doomsday, and that's where it broke my heart. It's kind of like what's her name, Natalie Portman in Revenge of the Sith. Anakin, you broke my heart. That's what it was. I looked at how they did Doomsday. Forget Darkseid.
Okay.
Forget Thanos. Forget Steppenwolf. Forget Galactus. Forget anything, any big bad. Doomsday, just top to bottom, the way he's drawn in comics, just the ferociousness that they give him is iconic. And the brown and green skin and the white bone spurs coming out of his head, it was just like it's done. He's drawn a specific way, and they just turned him into. You ever when you were a kid, did you ever do that science experiment where you put a potato in a glass jar and you put toothpicks in it and it grew roots and stuff like that below? That's what Doomsday looked like.
Really?
I hate it.
He looked like
Doomsday.
If to me, his face specifically looked like just if a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, worked out and didn't have the thing on his face.
It's a good point. He borrowed it from Michael Bay. Michael Bay's like, dude, can I borrow some animation from your computer when you're done with TMNT?
Oh, yeah.
I had a high expectations for BVS. I liked it when I walked out, but I mostly hated it.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not see Justice League in theaters. I waited till it came out on digital. I
Good.
bought it and instantly regretted watching the theatrical version.
Mm.
Seconds into the movie, I hated it. And for anybody who has seen the theatrical cut, or as they call it, the Justice League,
Yeah.
I'm stealing that from JR, by the
Justice
way.
League.
It's garbage. Seeing the digitally removed mustache
Oh my
from
gosh.
Superman, I was like, I'm
We
gonna do the
thought that was
first
a
one.
good idea.
I'm gonna fuck that movie.
Oh man.
I'm a huge Superman fan.
Yeah.
It took me so long to warm up to Man of Steel. There were so many things wrong with Man of Steel, and I grew to like it. And it, to me, really and truly looking back at it, of the DCE in the DCEU, Snyder Cut's got to be number one now, but Man of Steel is a close second. And then Aquaman and Shazam. But no, I had high expectations, and Justice League killed it 5 seconds in the movie. I was out. The reason that they did the Justice League Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Tell you the story. Just Zack Snyder is the Kevin Feige of the DCEU, the DC Comics Extended Universe.
Yeah.
He is. He really was. If you really look back, and especially with the interviews that they've done to promote the Snyder Cut, is they've admitted now that they gave Zack Snyder a ton of power, a lot of executive producer power.
Yeah.
So he isn't maybe officially like, but the problem between Kevin Feige and Zack Snyder is Kevin Feige is a tremendous storyteller. He's a great filmmaker. Zack Snyder's a good director, not a good storyteller. Anyways, so he goes on. He's going to direct Justice League. By the way, this movie was supposed to be 2 movies. It was supposed to be a part 1 and a part 2. And part 1 was supposed to happen. Then a couple of movies, possibly a Flash, possibly maybe a Titans movie, maybe it's just a Cyborg standalone movie. Aquaman was supposed to come out. Wonder Woman was supposed to come out, and then they come back for Justice League 2. So, in the vein of how they shot Infinity War, which was supposed to be Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2, and ended up being Endgame, they were going to film 2 movies back to back and then release them kind of on bookends. They go into production of this movie, they finish it, so to speak, and unfortunately, and again, our condolences, Zack Snyder's daughter commits suicide.
Yeah, passed away.
Passed away. He is destroyed, as anybody would be. He leaves the film. At that time, Joss Whedon, at the request of Zack Snyder, Joss Whedon was brought in as kind of like, hey, buddy, can you come over and kind of look over my shoulder, make sure I'm doing things right? Because I think Snyder was getting a little in over his head.
Yeah.
Snyder leaves the film. I quit this bitch.
I've heard other reports about that.
He was burnt out. They were in post-production. That's what I read too. I thought he was not done filming. He was done filming in principal photography and was in post-production and quit. And immediately, because he had brought Joss Whedon in as kind of like an advisor, Warner Brothers went, Joss, come here. Good little Joss. Can you make us an Avengers movie? Go get him. And they gave him the keys of the castle. And he basically went, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're going to move that over here. And we're going to put that over here. And turned this potentially beautiful action movie into Frankenstein's monster. It was terrible.
Really?
And
I've heard different, my dude. I've heard different.
But that's what I've heard.
Yeah. We will definitely get into it, but I did hear that one of the bigger voices that people will notice now is that it wasn't just more so Joss's quote unquote fault because he's headlining the thing. People forget that Jeff Loeb had a lot of influence in that thing, and there's been stories and other articles now pointing to Jeff Loeb for basically the destruction of the current arc or the Snyder arc of movies, but we'll get into that eventually. So going back
Anyways,
into like
so
the arc of just Justice League and Justice League Snyder Cut.
so my first impressions of it right off the bat is they didn't start with the stupid cell phone footage of the kids recording Superman and the fake mouth and stuff like that. It starts off with the ending of Batman versus Superman, with Superman being killed by Doomsday. I guess I didn't quite understand why they did the scream, the primordial scream from Superman, from Kal-El. I didn't quite get that per se. I mean, I guess I got it, but didn't get it. Like I got it, but why is it there? And because I don't think Superman ever had a power like that. He never had the ability to like scream and stuff like that. There was nothing about his voice that made it seem like he was whatever that his voice could affect him.
It's a weird the DCEU version of Superman is it's a weird hot pot. They're trying to put it's just weird, particularly because of who we don't know which version of the characters we're dealing with, right? Are we because like people are saying that well Superman is the strongest character ever. Okay, but what's Superman? Which Superman? You're talking about Silver Age Superman, the one that we grew up with?
Yeah.
Right? Or are we talking about
True,
about
it
post,
is.
yeah, are we talking about post DC or post Infinite Crisis Superman? Actually, that's what I agree with, right? Post Infinite Crisis. That's Superman that's made from Jim Lee. That's of the last 10, 20 years. That's Superman that that's been in just the animated series. That's Superman. Or are we talking about Silver Age Superman, which was fucking crazy powerful? So again, this goes in line with which version of your Justice League do we have? And Zack Snyder plays around that a lot because 1 second this guy is getting not manhandled, but he's getting whomped by Batman, but the next he's destroying freaking Steppenwolf easily, and so his powers are not defined. And so when he has that very primordial yell, it's technically in his it is technically in his power list. I mean, like the man in Silver Age, he sneezed and blew away galaxies. So like
That's true.
yeah, so it's
so the yell it just kind of, I don't know, for some reason it just seemed kind of out of left field. I don't know.
Again, we're dealing with a guy who is a visionary, a artistic visionary, so writer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then, like I said, to start off the movie, I did like the. Also, I will say I did not like the 4:3 aspect ratio. I get an artist's desire to create what they want, what they envision. Like I have seen, it's no different than, and I used this example with someone the other day, it's no different than what's it called? Quentin Tarantino wanting to shoot in Cinescope and like an ultra widescreen. As the movie went on, I guess I kind of adjusted, kind of forgot that it was there. And I think my mind's eye, so to speak, kind of filled in the gaps. But whatever you want to call it, my imagination kind of filled in the gaps. Moving along, the scene with Wonder Woman, I think you and I talked about this off air, that it seemed a little over the top. It was a similar scene that was included in the theatrical version, except it went above and beyond. It became very rated R. I think in light of what has happened in the last few hours, I think that this scene may want to be rethought. I'm watching it right now, and I know that they used it to show off that Diana, Wonder Woman, has the ability to super speed and deflect bullets with her, and strength and deflect bullets with her wrist. But I think just like now, especially like I said, what's happened today, it does not age well in just the last 4 days.
Yeah.
But it was, I think overall, it was kind of like you could have left the theatrical version of this scene in the movie and been fine.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why he did it. It was more so there to really showcase Diana, right? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great, cool. Like I do feel that because the theatrical version had what, a total of 7 seconds of her to
yeah,
do that. Maybe okay, more. Let's say about 30 seconds, right? And this version I think had like maybe nearly 2 to 3 minutes
yeah.
of her. That's
Um,
cool. If they cut it down to like under 2 minutes,
and
you would
got rid of
still
the
get your
big
point
explosion
across.
scene.
I mean, yeah, that's again that's we'll talk about that later into this discussion. But yeah, just yeah, the first impressions of it for me is yeah, cool.
I,
It's you
I
definitely
liked it.
understand the tone. I liked it. I definitely liked it. It's definitely an upgrade over Justice League. Uh, and yeah, it's definite fan service. The movie in itself is definite fan service. It's definitely made for fans that have waited for this version of the movie, and it is to a certain extent pretty close to the source material in a lot of senses. So when it comes to costumes, when it comes to power ups, when it comes to which version of Justice League we're going to, the most possibly out of place, quote unquote, source material s type of thing with it is, of course, people are gonna talk about Jason Momoa being Aquaman, right? Oh, why is Jason Momoa Aquaman? Why can't it be this way supposed to look like? Like, bro, like I got love for Arthur Curry, dude. He's always gonna be one of my all time faves, but like, I don't want when you give me a Nazi and you give me Jason Momoa, a Hawaiian Pacific Islander guy, I'm gonna take the guy that actually lived near water for the entirety of his life. I'm gonna pick him. Don't get
The
me
other thing
wrong.
too is I always joke
Yeah.
around that they're Aquaman is a joke.
Who
Go with me on
who
this. He's always been a joke
yeah,
of a character.
he's been the
So
butt of a lot of, like, it took sorry to cut this away from you, but like it took him to like what, the 1990s, where they gave him this freaking awesome ass freaking like water hand, which nearly one-shotted Superman himself. They had to do
yeah.
that to him in order for people to get on the side. Which
So
that's the yeah.
yeah. So like that version that's just over your shoulder is still a little
He's
meh.
yeah, I mean
And
he's cool. Don't get me wrong. Arthur Curry is a good character. It's
yeah,
he's built necessarily as a not a joke, but like, dude, like really the first thing coming out of the seas you think of is a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes, really? But then again, this is it's up an ages thing where we're talking about a
it's a
certain time, certain place, but
it's a product of it's a
of the
product of
time.
your time at the time.
Yeah.
But go down the line. Go down the line. Look at the pictures just of what you have. You have Hal Jordan is a auburn haired white
Mhm.
guy. You have Diana
Yeah.
Prince, who is a curly, wavy haired brunette,
Yes.
maybe a little bit more black haired,
Yep.
curvy Amazonian woman. You have
Mhm.
Kal-El, who is a bulky nerd, but at the same time nerdy.
Mhm.
Again, black haired. Bruce Wayne, uh, depending on which version you're talking about, but mostly a brunette, blonde,
Yeah.
or dark haired. Uh,
Barry
um,
Allen.
Barry Allen's what in the comics
He's
isn't he
blonde.
blonde? He's
He's blonde.
blonde, and then you have a cyborg,
Cyborg.
who is black guy, dark hair.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of you have a lot of the same. So why
Yeah.
not make? So I think that it was probably an artist choice when they created him. Like let's make him
Yeah.
almost like a what's up, bro? Like make him to me.
Yeah.
You think Ocean at the time when they
Yeah.
created him, he's a golden age character. You think of these surfer shows
Yeah.
that are going on. The Beach Bunny blanket to whatever that you think of.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with Jason Momoa because
Oh,
you're right.
absolutely not.
Pacific Islander, the only thing that could have been better to have Jason Momoa, like you said, maybe The Rock, maybe, like you said, because you have these guys that grew up in the ocean. You look at Dwayne Johnson and what he did with Maui. with that character in Moana. Yes, I'm going to compare Aquaman to freaking Moana. Is you have someone who's in tune with the ocean, who's one with the ocean, and that's the way I look at Aquaman. Aquaman is, yeah, he's from Atlantis. He's an Atlantean, which is in the obviously the Atlantic side of the ocean, but he's a Pacific Islander.
Yeah.
So he represents all oceans. He's in Atlantic. He's in Atlantis on that side of the world, but at the same time, he looks and kind of represents the bigger part of the ocean, which is like the Pacific and the Indian Ocean and stuff like that. So I never had a problem with Jason Momoa, and the dude's
I was hooked on that
kind of
character.
good looking too. So
I mean, I was hooked on that character the second that Zack Snyder tweeted out that picture of Jason Momoa with that badass looking freaking his tat and the scepter, the trident. I'm like, hell yeah, that makes sense. That makes freaking sense to me. And like
in real quick, in Aquaman, in the movie, he did the original costume justice.
Yeah. So like it's
sorry.
Like there's a sad thing to say that there are very few like Pacific Islanders or Asian characters, right? Or not Asian characters, but Pacific Island actors or Asian actors that will probably try to fit that role that Jason Momoa is doing. I'm okay with the pick. I feel good about the pick. I mean, like when he was in Conan like in 20 something, 2000 something, he looked good to me in Conan. And then when he was of course Khal Drogo, was probably the reason why he got the freaking film. He got the role. Is like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I understand why I could understand the Rock pick because of how closely it resembles Maui. But then like I'm like, yo, if you got the Rock in a Justice League movie, he's gonna be the most paid actor. It's gonna be too much.
And he is going to be playing Black Adam, and he's going to appear in Shazam. By the way, did not know this. Yeah. Dwayne Johnson and $7 Productions produced Shazam. Did not know that. People asked someone asked me the other day, how did the Rock, how did Dwayne Johnson make $250 million in 1 year? And he's got his hands in so much. Obviously, he's got a brand new energy drink line that just came out. I'm going to try it. I do want to try his tequila. I heard it's actually really, really good. But he has his hands in a lot of production. By the way, highly recommend Young Rock. It's on Peacock and NBC right now. Highly recommend you can watch it on Peacock and Hulu right now, or you can watch it if you still have cable and you live in the prehistoric or the prehistoric ages. You could check out Young Rock. Everything in that show, top to bottom, the casting was perfect. And highly recommend Young Rock on NBC. I'm not paid to say that, but
continue onward though for just like the other things that I did like about the movie. Yeah, the pacing was good. I mean, granted, there were some pacing issues that we will address in it. Everything about the movie was just a better upgrade than the original theatrical release. That was just the main thing. Like it was broader in scope, wider in scope. It had a much more intelligent and not just intelligent, but like not realistic either, but more so like its changes of pacing as well as like plot direction made more sense this time around, right? Batman figuring out that there is a possible that invasion happened already and him finding out for the first time, that makes sense rather than him just freaking like understanding that we've been invaded now for a while, right? That like, how did he find that out out of nowhere? Like just stuff like that. Like it was a better progression of plot and the unfolding of that plot. It made more sense. Granted, it took 4 hours to do. Still though, you know, when you give Zach a lot more time to kind of just, you know, work his magic, it works. Yeah. So
my dislikes.
Yes.
Moving on to that.
Man.
We're at a scene that I did not particularly care for in the original one.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few times that I thought about fast forwarding through a movie, and I'm not a big fan of doing that, of skipping. I want to give the appreciation to the filmmaker and stuff like that. I don't like the Amazonian, the Amazon scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Not an anti-feminist. I'm not anti-female rights or whatever. I'm not going to be a chauvinist. and say, no, the cut the girl stuff out. You know, it has nothing to do with that. You know, Robin Wright Penn or Robin Wright, I don't know if she's in this particular version of the movie, but obviously she was in Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. I'm a big fan of hers. I love her work. But you know, she's great as Jenna. But I also enjoyed her in House of Cards and whatnot. So I enjoy some of the acting. I don't know why. It's one of those unexplainable things. Is the Amazon? I think a lot of it has to do with if at times it looks like, oh, these Amazons with their bows and arrows. I know they're basically borderline gods.
Yeah.
Are taking down Steppenwolf, who flip around has a hell of a time getting beat up by is easily wiping the floor with metahumans like Barry Allen, like Arthur Curry, and Cyborg. Obviously, it takes Superman to come in. I mean, even see Steppenwolf and Darkseid have a hard time. You even mentioned this before. It's like in this one of the scenes, you see Darkseid, who's superior than Steppenwolf, and he's having a hell of a time with the Green Lantern Corps, with another god. But I don't know. I guess I just have a problem with they're not creating any kind of equals or anything. I don't know. It for some reason in this version and the theatrical version, the Amazon scene kind of killed whatever momentum. Now in the first one there wasn't a lot of momentum, but it just brought it to a screeching halt. And the hall scene didn't add anything. Did not add anything to the movie. It just was. And then you mentioned it. It added more slow-mos. I get it. Slow-mos. He loves him some slow-mos. You look at 300 and what he did, and at the time, that was a revolutionary film. Now it's just lazy. Yeah. It's like JJ and lens flares. It's just you call it a trademark. I call it lazy. Yeah. So I couldn't stand the slow-mos, and for some reason, this early on. Thank God it was early on, because this one could have easily killed the momentum for me for Justice League.
I feel like that. I know that particular scene, right? I felt the same way, but more so, I kind of knew what it was. It just was drawn out way too long for me.
Yes,
there was just that. Like, don't get me wrong, Steppenwolf coming in, you see him in his new gear, his new outfit. He looks way better modeled, right? Yes. New voice actor, and you see, basically a 300, but in the flip, right? You see a lot of very strong female characters in showing their assets to accentuate their muscles, right? Did the exact same thing 300. Cool. We get that scene. I understand that scene. But it was just long and drawn out. And this is gonna be one of my other bigger dislikes. One of my other dislikes of the film. I've made it known to you in a conversation we had when I had my first impression right after this film. Zack Snyder, how he plays dramatic, storytelling for his actors is like one of two things. They are either over dramatic or not dramatic at all, right? Or less dramatic, in the sense of like every scene has to be super dramatic, and there's no in between. There's no natural conversation. Every conversation that Hippolyta had with every Amazonian in that scene, right? It feels like they had a long, drawn out conversation about, oh, please give us, honor us, seal the cage, right? We've heard that. I literally heard that same conversation with 3 other Amazonians, which took up possibly 30 to 40 seconds. This super over dramatic tone, right? Super over dramatic. I'm like, okay, we got it the first time. It's like one of those things where you see a replay done in a basketball game or whatever game, and they show that replay 4 to 5 times. I'm like, come on, dude, we've seen this already. Keep on going. You're just kind of just slowing down the action. Because like every time I saw that thing, I'm like, yo, like, how are you having this conversation when Steppenwolf is literally right behind you, killing everybody? That was my thought. Like, you literally have a dude bam from a different universe and is slaughtering like already 10 Amazonians in front of you, and you're having a side conversation with a girl, no, with another Amazonian who's gonna be dead in a couple seconds, just so she can say to you, "Oh, take the box, honor us, seal the place." I'm like, okay, first time, got it. Now go.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like the whole thing of like of them. Don't get me wrong; it's visually striking scene where where you see a bunch of the Amazonians. They take their mallets and they hit every one of the pillars. Right? We saw that in the original theatrical cut, but then it's a lot more accentuated in Snyder
Yeah.
cut. Cool thing to do. The last one, you see them hold up the stones, and then she slides through. Great. One thing that I did like though is that they covered up from a director standpoint, they covered up Gal's accent by having all the Amazonians have the exact same accent, so it didn't feel out of place, right?
Yeah.
So that was cool. I like that. Like, all right, cool. This is the reason why she sounds very different, right?
Yeah.
And so there you go. There's your thing. Every Amazonian sounds like this, so that's how you should put it. So
I will say this. I've always been a fan. I always enjoyed the original Alfred Pennyworth in the Batman 66.
hmm.
I enjoyed the Alfred Pennyworth in Batman 89. Of course, he played the same actor, I believe, played Alfred in the Joel Schumacher films. Um, and of course, you get I can't think of his name now. Dadgummit.
Yeah,
The
I
guy
know what
that
you're talking
played Alfred
about. In trilogy in the
in
Dark
the
Knight
Dark
trilogy.
Knight trilogy, Michael Caine,
Okay.
near perfection.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons is so good as Alfred Pennyworth
Yeah, he is.
because you show that this is the guy. He's proper, and this is what I liked about it. When he gets in that argument with Diana over the tea,
Oh yeah.
that was funny, and everyone's like, I've had people go like they bitched about it, and it's still
No,
showing you that
it's
Alfred
good.
is a butler. He is
Yeah.
still a butler. He understands he's a prim and proper butler, and he needs to make a proper spot of tea
Mhm.
for Master Wayne.
Yeah.
And of course, I do like how he still refers to him as occasionally it's Bruce, but it's yes, Master
Master
Wayne, and it's
Bruce.
that
Yeah.
and Master Bruce.
Yeah.
And at the same time, is you have Alfred says, okay, my job, and Michael Caine set this characteristic of Alfred up perfectly, I think, for all Alfreds for the rest of the franchise or
Mhm.
of the character is Alfred's job is to protect Bruce Wayne
Mhm.
at all costs. And Michael Caine did that by, okay, I know who your alter ego is. I know you're Batman.
Yeah.
And he got involved. He got involved, but at the same time, he says, I'm not going to sit here and watch you kill yourself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm going to help you. I don't want you to kill yourself. So
Yeah.
I'm going to help you, even though it goes against every fiber of my being. And Jeremy Irons does that too. He's like, okay, if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
And they make Alfred sound like a genius, but at the same time, they don't. And I think that's one of the things that Snyder did. Maybe he didn't mean to, but or maybe he did. Is that subtly he expanded the character of Alfred Pennyworth and making him more intelligent, more understanding of what Bruce Wayne is doing, the technology. I mean, him just sitting here, I was just watching the scene and he's got this like
Oh, the thing.
screen in front of him and he's just like, and he's sitting there having a conversation. Master Bruce, what do you think of Master Allen? And he's talking about Barry Allen
Mhm.
in the Flash scene where he comes to the rescue of the liquor store
Yeah.
incident. So I did like that and continue to play on through in the movie. So
Yeah.
I don't think that was one of the things that I enjoyed because I said for the most part I did enjoy I was okay with the pacing. Yeah, I was a little long. There were times where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, god
Yeah.
damn.
I do know that I'm glad that people are trying to find out that Alfred is actually much more like if you look back to certain parts of his history, there, and of course, origin stories are weirder nowadays. Alfred is like, ex MI. He was part of like naval force of
That's
UK.
right.
He was a lot of things, and so we see different parts of him. Granted, of course, people are gonna be more so associated with him with possibly one of two things: Batman Adventures, or the recent, or the Dark Knight trilogies, right? One of
Yeah.
those two. But like, yeah, Alfred has always been, he was the one to head up the technology center, the central hub when Bruce was out doing his rounds, as Batman. He was the guy there to circulate everything. But yeah, I'm happy that we saw that Pennyworth in this movie as well.
Real
I
quick, we're at
Yeah.
the scene where they shoot the flaming arrow into the Acropolis, and to warn Diana
Mhm.
from I can't remember the name of the Amazonian island is.
Yeah,
Uh,
Paradiso? Not Paradiso, something
yeah,
else, yeah.
something like that. So there's an outfit that Gal Gadot is wearing, and it obviously is very accentuating.
Yep.
And Zack Snyder let it be known that Wonder Woman is a strong, powerful female.
Yeah.
But has to be sexy. And everyone's like, no, she doesn't have to be. No, she does. It's what she's kind of like, and that's why one of the reasons why, like, when I was in college, that people thought that China, Joni
Mhm.
Lauer, would have been a great Wonder Woman, because she was a beautiful,
Uh-huh.
fully curved woman. She looked like an Amazon. Is Zack Snyder says, I need this strong, powerful woman. First and foremost, she needs to be able to kick your ass,
Mhm.
take names, have your respect, extremely intelligent, which they show with her
Yeah.
appreciation for art and history
Mhm.
and whatnot. And but at the same time, she needs to be a 10. She needs to be a knockout. Now I'm gonna move out of the way for a second. You can see this picture. That's my backdrop.
Mhm.
Okay.
You sexist pig.
I'm a sexist pig.
Uh-huh. I can see
Okay.
your bro, just I can see your short shorts.
Those are actually, what's funny, these are actually like board shorts,
Okay. Didn't you know that?
but they have
Okay.
classic Jack Kirby Marvel characters drawn on them.
Okay.
They're like basketball board shorts or
Okay.
whatever.
Cool.
So anyways,
Onto the
but
picture.
so the picture was taken. Gal Gadot was, I believe, still working on, either she was working on Fast and the Furious, or she was working on something, and she was overseas.
Yeah.
Her agent says, I got a guy that wants to meet with you to play a comic book character. Are you interested? Well, what am I playing? I don't know. You're going to meet with this guy named Zack Snyder. And she shows up, and she was familiar with 300 and so on and so forth. And so she meets with him on the soundstage, and she meets with Ben Affleck to read um to read
Lines for.
sides. Now
Yeah.
she literally flew in from overseas, went right to this reading, sat down with Ben Affleck, Academy Award winner, world
Mhm,
renowned
mhm,
actor,
mhm.
director, producer.
Yeah.
And so, without any hair and makeup, Zach goes, I need to do a screen test and do this one shot of you. And so they didn't want to record any of the lines and stuff. So they just said they were just going to do this one shot. So he took this picture of her basically en naturel. I think she did a fitting for a costume that they wanted her to wear. This is actually for BVS, for Batman versus
Yeah.
Superman. It was a potentially costume that she was going to wear for Batman versus Superman. And yes, it does accentuate certain
Yeah.
aspects of her feminine charm.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just Zach was just saying, was this everything about this picture is what makes Diana Prince who she is. She could be a knockout, dolled up, go out on the town and whatnot, but at the same time, she can roll out of bed and kick your ass and still be a stunner. And it was just a powerful picture. I really enjoy it. It's not for what you think. I think because of the black and white and her eyes, I'm an eyes person, and her eyes will just,
Yeah.
I mean, she'll just
I
bore
mean,
holes in your head.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah. It just I will say Gal Gadot was my first choice for me particularly. And granted, it's not to say that she isn't a beautiful woman. Absolutely, it's just more
It's a
so that
tough
like
role.
it's not. It's like granted, yeah. I guess I've been more attuned to Western versions of Wonder Woman in the sense of like Gal Gadot is possibly as most supermodel esque I've ever seen a supermodel play a superhero I've ever seen. Granted, we had Linda Carter, we've had Scarlett Johansson, but Scarlett Johansson still doesn't fit that supermodel beauty standard storyline. It's just like, yeah, for me, I guess. Man, don't get me wrong, dude. She knocks it out of the park as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She knocks it out of the park, but not my first choice. I'll just say
No,
that.
and it would not be my first choice. I mean,
Hmm.
hell, I got a chance to run across Linda Carter at Comic-Con Palm Springs a
Yeah,
couple of years ago, and Linda
yeah,
Carter is still, you put her in the
yeah.
right
Linda
kind of
Carter.
makeup,
Yeah,
she can still pull off the role. And of course, spoiler alert, she does make an appearance in Wonder Woman 84 in a
yep.
post-credit scene.
Hmm.
But it would not have been my first choice. Obviously, growing up, my first choice, if you would ask me 20 years ago, again, I would have said Joni Lauer. I would have said China. Um,
Hmm.
and I know that she appeared at the MTV Video Music Awards, I think like in like 2000 or something like that, in a
Yeah,
Wonder Woman outfit, and people
yeah.
thought that she was going to play the role. So yeah, she
China.
would not be
Yeah,
my first choice, but I think that once we got to see her, especially in the Wonder Woman 84 costume,
she looked
my
better.
she looked
She,
better,
yeah.
and I got to give her mad props. She has endured a lot, and coming from the background that she was in,
Mm-hmm.
and that she was a member of the Israeli army, that
Mm-hmm.
she she became a model,
Yeah,
and it was a hard thing because you assume, oh, this girl was in the army, even though for those of you who don't know, if you Google Israeli female army,
yeah.
they're
No, like yeah. We're also talking about like the fact that everyone is gonna join the army if you're if you're in Israel. Like everyone, it's one of those mandatory things. The same thing with Korea, and a lot of people give South Korea a lot of crap because of K-pop. But yo, all those K-pop stars, they're gonna go to the army.
Mhm.
They do mandatory 2 years in the army. And it's kind of the same
And
thing with Israel.
I give her a lot of credit
Yeah.
because um I'm gonna go with a stereotype here.
Okay.
It's obvious that there is a lot of people in Hollywood that are of the Jewish faith,
Okay.
but a lot of them aren't necessarily straight from the home country,
Okay.
from the homeland.
Mm-hmm.
She is, and there was something different about that accent. And I know that it kind of flirts with Greek a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
that they were trying to play with Wonder Woman, that she is kind of comes from Greek mythology,
Yeah.
sort of speak. Um, so that has that. There is something unique, and that's why I liked her. And again, it's not for the obvious reasons. Yes, she is a beautiful woman, but I enjoy her talents as an actress,
Uh-huh.
because she is so unique in that she has a unique accent that's not heard. You can hear a Southern accent, you can hear a British accent. God, everybody does a British accent, and everybody does, obviously, there's
Yeah.
an American accent.
Yeah.
You don't hear people go like, "Let's cast the Israeli." You don't hear that, and I think that was a fresh of breath there. And when I saw her in BVS, and I was like, okay, how are they gonna play this? Is she
Yeah.
gonna be Greek? Is she going to be
Yeah.
American? Is she gonna be what?
Yeah.
And they let her just be her. And like you said, they worked all the other Amazonians around her.
Yeah. Around that
So
accent.
I thought it was okay. Again, I'm with you, bro. Not my first choice. Much like Eartha Curry would not have been my first choice, but
Mhm.
who's to argue with Cal Drago? He's gonna
Yeah.
whoop somebody's ass.
Yeah. I'm going on to going back on trying to go back on the
Yep.
current thing. I think we're at just like
Differences
the
between
film.
the theatrical version and the Snyder
Actually,
cut.
I wanted to talk more about before we went on that before we went on the
Oh,
Wonder Woman tangent. There's more so of just like overall things too. Like one of the biggest things that I know we talked about dialogue about the film. It's just for me the yeah, dude, like so many freaking times I remember just watch this movie and those moments of like levity that we need to have for the film, which is granted, yes. Just like there's certain like okay, so again, we're gonna go full spoilers. That whole freaking scene where you have Martha, um, Martha Kent having a conversation with Lois after Lois is not going back to work, has been, dealing with her grief for quite a while now, for a couple months. And they talk in at her home, and they just have a conversation about Clark. It's super dramatic, over dramatic even, where it's this accentuation of an accent that she didn't have in prior films. And that's the thing kind of irritating me. Is like they really gave a Midwestern character a deep South accent. That was one of the things that kind of like irritating. Like, really? Like, okay. I'm guessing they really want that Zack Snyder really wanted to put his imprint on this, like, hey, and say, hey, this is my film. Like, just it was like out of place for me. Like, yo, okay, like it's a super dramatic scene, but then it was over dramatic. It was over dramatized. It was too not too much, but like it was just drawn out. Again, you will hear this, type of conversation be brought up again because it's just that's a lot of this film, which is an over. Uh, a lot of scenes just played on way too long than it should, and people are gonna argue that no, that should have happened. For me, stylistically, I get it, but just for the plot in itself, just way too much. Like it was just way too much. Like a lot of these scenes were just way too
It,
much. It was
and it was. And I think
unnecessary.
you start to put holes in. And I know that a lot of people are now hashtag make the Snyder cut canon.
Canon,
And I think there's a lot of potential canon like plot
yeah,
holes
canonical, yeah.
if you were to do that.
Mhm.
Obviously I'm watching right now, I'm watching the Willem Dafoe, which I completely forgot that
Which
he was
actually
in.
good. That's a good scene to include. Willem Dafoe coming back in to do that scene to help set up Aquaman. That's a good scene to have. Don't know
True,
why they did it up.
but he's giving him the. Here's the thing though, is he's
Mm-hmm.
going to give. Oh, you know what though? I forgot. Now I completely forgot
Uh-huh.
the trident that
What that was his
he is
mother's.
giving. It's his mother's,
Yes.
not the
Not the
main
act.
trident, which
No,
he.
he has
Okay,
to find
that
for
threw me
himself.
off. That
Yeah.
forgot. Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, that helps me out. The problem that you and I talked about this yesterday, real quick to address the Martha Kent accent.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they just try to over dramatize it and whatnot.
Yeah.
But hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
What we know happens at the end of that scene, that's not Martha Kent.
Yeah. It's
It's
not.
not Ma Kent. It is somebody
Yeah.
who is at some point ran across Martha Kent and needed to mimic her, because we know in that scene, it's the first time we are introduced to
To
Martian
Martian Manhunter.
Manhunter.
Even in
And
that, well, like to kind of just go back on that point. Even in that essence, that him just showing him was just pure fan service. This is one of the things
mhm,
I really heavily dislike because he's in the film, but knowing of Justice League, the theatrical version, he doesn't do anything. He's a dude that goes, oh yeah, we actually do something, but I'm really not. And like just to kind of just fall and spoil everything. He comes at the end of the scene, he's one of the epilogue stories where he meets Bruce and says, oh, yeah, I saw what you guys did. That was cool. I'm gonna join next time. Like, motherfucker, where the
where
fuck
were
were
you?
you?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so this is the reason why, and it's gonna be said in the differences between theatrical and Snyder cut. Like, this is the reason why Joss Whedon cut this out because he literally plays no part in the story other than just fan service.
Yeah,
Don't be
because you
wrong, people are gonna love that. It's a great pop, but it does nothing. You just made him useless.
it would
You
have
made him
made
as
more
useless. Yeah, you
yeah.
made him as useless as the Martha line from BVS. You
That's
made
so
him as
dumb.
useless as that.
The think about this.
Mm-hmm.
You cut out the scene with Martha,
Yeah.
with her coming in, which I really don't think it added anything other than to explain that the Kent house was sold, which you could have done in a different way.
Yeah.
You cut out
They,
that scene and you don't
yeah.
have Martian Manhunter. You don't have the people, because now you have, like you just said, Jared, now in the back of your head, you have people going like, hey, what the hell? Where was Martian Manhunter? Why didn't he come to the rescue? Why didn't he join the Justice League?
Mm-hmm.
What was he doing that was more important?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, granted, you could easily have that same conversation at the end of the movie when he shows up and says, next time, I'm going to show up.
Okay.
You could still technically still have that conversation after that, but it's not so much, because you could say, you could be naive and say, well, he was off doing something. He was off on another planet doing something. Having him show up in the middle of the movie, portraying Martha Kent, just to have a conversation with Lois Lane, which made no sense to have Martian Manhunter play Martha Kent to have that conversation. It was a conversation that needed to be had between Lois Lane and the real Martha Kent.
Yes.
So it made no sense. So you ripped that out. I agree with you. It was a cheap pop. It was a Mick Foley level cheap pop.
Yeah.
And if you're a wrestling fan, you'd get that. But you know, it's like in the middle of an interview where he goes, right here in Palm Springs, California. That's what it was. Instead of doing the match, which again, Mick Foley fans, I have no problem. It was his gimmick, whatever, but at the same time, go with me.
Yeah.
It was a cheap pop. I agree with you. I was like, oh, cool. And remember at the end of the movie when he shows up, I go, wait a minute, the hell? Where were you in? Why weren't you in Mother Russia?
Exactly.
So yeah, if he would have just shown up at the end, you can still play devil's advocate and say, well, I was off, saving a puppy from the tree or something like that. I was busy.
I'm just gonna skip around for a little bit for this point because it's supposed to be gonna be tied into my closing thoughts. The whole thing. It's hard for you to play that card specifically when, for now, as of right now, this is the only movie that's coming out from Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder has been stated to say he has no intention to do anything after this. He's had that's true, but at the same time, from the man himself, that's his only thing we could probably do, other than possibly, honestly, Warner Bros. Coming back to suck his dick and say, you know what, everything that you said was right. Oh, you want Ray Fisher to come back and be a head role? All right, then we'll fire absolutely everyone that was, alleging for the things he alleged, right? Jeff Loeb, one of the Asian producers, all these other guys, right? We'll do that because, like, for right now, from what we see, that pop was unnecessary. That him putting up possibly the iteration of another Justice League member being Green Lantern, unnecessary. It feels like this whole movie is basically just as it is a good thank you very much for your patience, all my Justice League fans, all my Batman vs Superman, all my Superman fans, right, Man of Steel fans. This is for you guys and you guys only.
Where can they go from here?
That's what I'm saying.
Because you can't not forget this. When they go to do Aquaman 2, you can't not forget this. When you go to do Flashpoint.
Here's the thing, though. You kind of have to, because look at the docket. You have the Batman coming up. You have Aquaman 2 from James Wan, whom has already been said that James Wan, even though his iteration of Aquaman is straight ripped from Zack Snyder, he's a lot more lighthearted. You have, another Wonder Woman going to come out eventually. You're going to have Shazam. All these ones are not going to be directly tied to this version of the film. Unless you do Flashpoint, which that means if you do Flashpoint, you have to somehow include this Justice League. But at the same time, trying to rework absolutely everything else that's already been, that's already been filmed, written in pre-production or in post-production. That's like this is technically my best impression of this is that this should have been the movie that had been out. Granted, a 4-hour slog of a Zack Snyder film back in 2017 wouldn't sound enticing as it is now. Especially in Coronaverse, like it would have been a harder sell to do so, but this definitely should have been the movie. And just because of that, I would like to then highlight the differences then per se between why this should have been the movie.
I think for the difference between the two is I don't dig on Joss Whedon and his quippy dialogue as much as some fans do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was really all that bad in the theatrical version of Justice League. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I had a problem with the lame ass CGI, the terrible storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the fact that they didn't flush out characters like Ezra Miller's Flash and Ray Fisher's Cyborg.
Ray Fisher's Cyborg, yeah.
However, I'm going to say something controversial. JR knows where I'm going with this. And send your hate mail to me at Voice of Reason on all social, Voice of Reason 23 on all social media.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Ray Fisher at all. There's something missing. and maybe he's missing that it factor. I look at John Boyega doing Finn and go, he's got it. The unexplainable, the unfathomable it factor. You did the can, like I said, that which can't not be explained. And I just don't know how to explain it. Ray Fisher, I can't look at Ray and I don't see it. Now we had this conversation too. It is a brooding character. It's a dark and brooding character, like it was in the original Titans book back in the 1980s. But we've come to kind of understand that Cyborg is this fun-loving, jovial character from Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. But again, I know it's different. I completely understand. Don't hate me. I just am not a fan of Ray Fisher, and I think that Joss Whedon didn't give Cyborg enough. I'm not gonna. It's not me. It's not my place to call Joss Whedon a racist. He just may not say. I don't think. Maybe he said, I don't think Ray Fisher's a good character, a good actor. I don't want him to be in my movie, and so therefore I'm like, I'm stuck with having to have this character be in the movie, but I'm going to do it as minimal as possible because I don't like the actor, not because he's black. I don't like his abilities. I don't know. I'm not Joss Whedon. I'm Kevin Pillow. I'm not a racist. I have no problem with a major black character being a focal point to the movie. I felt at times that Cyborg was to make up, it was overly made up for. It's like, okay, you only got 20, you were only in 2% of the movie. Well, shit, we're going to put you in 65% of the movie this time just to make up for it. You're not doing the character or the actor or what you're trying to accomplish. You're not helping that cause. I thought there were times where they shoehorned it in too much. I did like having gone back and watched some of it again, going, yes, completely agree. He wasn't in the movie enough in the first one.
Yeah. I
did like, though, to an extent, sometimes it comes across a little creepy, but that's just, he's a cyborg. He doesn't want to be seen. So he does kind of cyborg stock a little bit. So that I guess that's what I did like about the Whedon cut. This one, I think he does a little bit of that stalking, but is more prevalent about it. And I like the story that they developed with his mom and dad and telling the backstory and telling him. And then I was confused by I get it, but again, it's one of those like, I get it, but I don't get it. Why the scene with the principal?
No, dude, I've been.
I'll let you go on this because you had a great point on this yesterday. I'm going to let you take because you and I kind of agree on this.
Yeah, like here's the thing specifically, isn't. I get what you're going with Ray Fisher, right? I understand that type of critique because I had the same way with Gal Gadot. I had the same way with a bunch of characters or a bunch of actors and actresses we've had we talked about in the past, where it feels like it's taking a long time for me to warm up to them, right? One of the biggest ones was possibly
Brie Larson. Huh? Brie Larson.
Brie Larson, absolutely, right? I don't see her as Captain Marvel. If she was Captain Marvel, I'd rather have her as the fucking stoic bitch who is pretty damn near on the line, towing the lines of what's it called of being a fascist in the comics, right? If she play that, great. But I love her as I have respect for her as a person, as an actor outside of her role. I feel like the same way is being said for Ray Fisher because of one thing and one thing only. Zack Snyder does not know how to fucking develop characters. Period. No. He doesn't. It's mainly both of them, Joss Whedon and Joss Whedon is a little bit better.
Joss Whedon, if you give better. You give him seven seasons and 12 episodes a season, yeah, maybe.
I mean, yeah, his one season was Firefly was actually pretty good though. But like, other than the thing specifically that I feel one of the differences as well between the theatrical and the theatrical version and the Snyder cut, even though with Josh's version, a lot of things were cut out, specifically Cyborg's cut out. A lot of the dialogue in Snyder's cut, no, in theatrical version, was more natural. for me. Like it felt like natural conversation. No one was trying to emphasize a certain thing or try to
Yeah.
elicit a certain raw emotion for you to see on screen because that's how the visionary Zack Snyder wants to look at. No, for Josh's cut, yeah, these are no. This sounds like it. It's a normal conversation about a person, specifically Cyborg, how he's dealing with. Granted, yeah, it was a cheesy, off-put, rushed way of showing it, but I would still take that dialogue over Zack Snyder's dialogue. And that makes sense, right? Like
Yeah.
it's specifically also when I kind of go back to as I circle back when I circle back to Ray Fisher, the conversation between Martha Kent and Lois Lane when she's back at her job felt way more natural. Felt like they were having, a person to person conversation. Felt like, yeah, like, what needs to be done. Granted, people are gonna say, well, that's you being that's me being biased because I've been watching Avengers, right? And all that stuff. But
Yeah.
honestly, the dialogue is better. It 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 takes for me, it takes away from a film when you have over dramatized versions of dialogue where you don't, where you just emphasize an emotion rather than a conversation, right? And
Yeah.
when it comes to Ray Fisher, I feel like, or when it comes to Cyborg, I feel like like one of the biggest things for me was that I felt like they shoehorned him in his father's relationship, right?
Yeah. That was
Because
something you brought up. Yeah.
Yeah, because like here's the thing. Yes, I understand his background, not just his background, but like his history with his dad, right? Yes, absent father wants his affection, wants him to basically see him as a person, as a man. Yeah, I get that. But that whole freaking thing. Here's the problem with Zack Snyder. His portrayal of emotion is very archaic. Like when you said before, the conversation with how we see Cyborg as a good person is because that he hacked into the school database to change his friend's his grade
Friend's
letter,
grade.
right? Her
Yeah.
grades, right? And you got the principal going, "Oh, your son did a bad thing. It was a horrible thing. How can you possibly do that? How is he a good person, or whatever, right?" And the mom goes, "Well, the only reason why he did that is because her family was being hurt or whatever, and she had to deal with problems. He did a bad thing to do a good thing. What have you done for her, right? Like this
Yeah.
whole freaking like, oh, one upman bullshit, right? I'm like, that does nothing to freaking serve the scene. And so the principal is like, looking off, like, looking like, oh, you're right, type of thing. I'm like, that's a horribly fucking played out scene to elicit one emotion. The emotion is supposed to be like, oh, you're supposed to be on Rayfish, on Cyborg's good side. Like he's a good guy. He portrayed as a good guy, all American kid, captain of the football team, quarterback, all that, right? All he wants is his father's love, right? And then on the way home, he tries to save his mother. His mother gets all of what, a minute and a half of screen time, right? And trying to save his mother trying to block her with a from the car from his left arm. That gets off. Like the biggest, like, yes, for me, the heart and soul of the film stays with Cyborg. But that's sad because it should have been the whole friggin' film. This, I've said it multiple times. This film should have been a Flash Cyborg movie, period. That's it.
Now,
Like, I understand why they freaking did that, but they shoehorn, like you said, yeah, they shoehorn way too many relationships that we're supposed to be as a viewer supposed to be like root for and feel a certain attraction to. Like for me, his dad, I get it. His dad, wanting to keep his son alive. Yes, cool. But then his dad being okay with absolutely everything he says, right? Because he was an absentee father, but you gave your freaking son the nuclear codes is kind of dramatic. Okay, you plug up your son to have this super alien technology, and then he now has the ability to, yes, you see a good moment where he releases funds to a single mother. Another emotional scene where it's supposed to elicit that, oh, he's a good guy, but you also gave him the fucking nuclear codes. What does that mean? Like,
yeah.
okay, but he's a good guy because he's not going to use the nuclear codes, right? His father said it, right? Like the I understand the character of Cyborg, but the relationship between him and his father should have been played out better, and not in those one-off scenes where, after they, try to bring back Superman, and his father, takes everybody out because he saw his son come into the land, and the second he sees his son, whom he probably hasn't seen in like 7 days or anything, automatically goes, "Yeah, you're right, son. Cool. I did this thing. I'll be a good dad just this one time." Like, that was shoehorned for me.
Now, and you bring up a good point in the light of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, by the way, we are going to do every Friday night. We're going to do a review of that week's episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
You have me thinking, bro. I got an idea. Okay. Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
In the vein of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, coming to HBO Max in 2022, it's the Flash and Cyborg show.
I mean,
tell me you wouldn't want to watch 6 or 8 episodes of that stuff.
I would.
I will say that Ezra Miller does bring out Ray Fisher a little bit. Also, real quick, and I bring this up, Zack Snyder likes blood, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Dude likes him some gore.
Mm-hmm.
We just saw an Atlantean get smashed against a rock, and he is just brain matter.
He's gunked right now.
He is gunked.
Yeah, absolutely. I was
trying to kind of put a little bow on this, because there's absolutely no way we could do this show complete justice, no pun intended, because it's a 4-hour epic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things we haven't covered, but like at the same time, like one, it wouldn't. I understand why this movie wouldn't have passed in 2017. It's an R-rated movie by Justice League with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. You can't have an R-rated movie with those three. You can't.
And it worked. I mean, really, the only person that cursed, in which it was funny, was like I kind of had a problem with, was the only curse words they gave to a major character was to the black guy.
Oh no, Batman too.
Does Batman? Oh, Batman does drop an F-bomb. Right.
I'll fucking kill you. It's fucking Joker. We didn't even talk about Joker yet either.
Real quick, that's what I wanted to kind of want to end on.
Yeah.
Watching this movie, and everyone had seen the trailer that came out about a week or so before, and it hinted at Jared Leto's post-apocalyptic. Well, at least it wasn't hinted at the point, but it was even more different version of the Clown Prince of Crime,
his version,
Joker. It was not the disco freaking Night at the Roxbury Joker. This was a different Joker. It was his telling, which inevitably we know now is a post-apocalyptic Joker. And I was wondering how it was going to work. Watch the whole movie, and I'm going, well, how the hell are they going to shoehorn the Joker into this? And I have to say, I'm still up in the air about how I feel about Jared Leto playing the Joker.
Yeah.
My thoughts changed dramatically after seeing the scene that he does in this movie.
It was good.
For the positive. Yeah. And my most glaring complaint about this entire movie, more so than how I feel about Ray Fisher, is Amber Heard still in the movie.
I mean,
I have a gigantic problem with that.
Mara's fucking accent.
No, not the accent. Well, the accent.
Like, that was one of my negative things too. But go ahead, continue.
I have a problem with Amber Heard and the hypocrisy that is Warner Brothers.
I mean,
they fire Johnny Depp, a man who was exonerated and vindicated in his maybe poor handling of a relationship with Amber Heard, but in a relationship where he was not perfect, but was not the evil villain that he was laid claim to be in the Me Too movement.
Yeah,
he gets off with a death sentence. He's booted from the Harry Potter franchise, from the Fantastical Beast franchise.
Paid for all of it.
What's that? He got paid, but tell me right now, You think anybody's going to touch him? He is not working right now. Not that he needs it.
Yeah.
Not that he needs it. He's Johnny Depp, and he just got paid millions of dollars to do nothing. But Amber Heard, who made up stuff,
Yeah.
for the sake of the hashtag Me Too movement, just to make herself look like the victim, is able to still remain as a major character. She's gonna be brought back, at least as last time I heard,
Possibly,
for Aquaman 2.
yeah.
Possibly
They're still haven't finalized everything.
It was painful to see her in this film. And I get it. Who knows? Maybe those scenes were filmed before everything happened, and it would cost more to reshoot. And which, by the way, they spent $70 million just to redo Justice League.
Yeah.
It took me out of the. I have a real problem with her.
I mean, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes from the movie was the ending. Was the epilogue with her, which happened to have her, and she. Spoiler alert: she takes up the mantle of, quote, Aquaman, yielding Aquaman's trident, because in this post-apocalyptic world, Darkseid has killed a lot of the metahumans. He has killed Aquaman. He has turned the Man of Steel. He has turned Batman. We see once again the kind of the steampunk, not steampunk, but like this
post-apocalyptic,
post-apocalyptic Batman with the which I like that costume. I don't know why. I like him in the trench coat and the thing and the goggles. I like it. But we get this great monologue from Jared Leto in this interaction between Ben Affleck and Jared Leto, and they start to air out the dirty laundry about a character we thought we'd never, ever, other than a quick glimpse of a suit in Batman versus Superman, a character we thought we'd never have addressed, and that is, I believe, Dick Grayson.
No, it's not Dick Grayson. It's Todd.
I'm sorry, it's Todd.
Todd.
I apologize.
Yeah.
And I love how Bruce is like, careful with your words. And Jared Leto brings out this monologue that is just epic and basically lays out the groundwork for Flashpoint. And it's just so good. I really enjoyed it, and I want to get your opinion. I want to get what your favorite part of the movie is and what you thought of that scene. And I want to lay down a theory on you when you're done. But go ahead, Mr. Cabacungan.
It was just funny that you bring up that. Like, I've been hearing a lot from the Twitterverse as well as like people online just saying that, oh, this is the best Joker ever. No, not by a long shot. It's definitely better than his first iteration, his first go around. I will say that is much improved. He did have he did show off his acting range. He has a lot of better lines. His laugh definitely needs to be worked on, obviously.
I actually liked his laugh from Suicide Squad.
I mean, his laugh from but he tried to do the exact same thing or similar to that of in the ending movie, right? But come on now, the Joker, you have to have a distinguishable laugh in order to be in the running to be a good Joker.
Yes.
But his lines though, or his acting pace, that acting pace right there kind of pissed me off because we didn't get that we didn't get any of that through any part of the movie. The best acting roles, the best dialogue that Snyder got from his actors was literally the epilogues.
And who knows, that could have been
like it was good. It was natural. I enjoyed it. Specifically his line of like you put a little boy's work. You do you bring a little boy to do a man's job, right? When you talk about Boy Wonder, right?
Jason. Oh, and he said, he specifically says the Boy Wonder too, and I was like,
Boy Wonder.
Yeah.
Great freaking line. Right? To me, it's supposed to set up a lot of things for that. Great freaking line. And to kind of go back to the Johnny Depp one, the second that he gets his libel case appealed from against that tabloid paper in the UK, if hopefully he gets appealed and he wins that, dude, all bets are off. He's gonna probably get hired again, because especially with tabloids right now, I know it's tangent to go the tabloid with Meghan right now, and the currently the royal house, the royal bloodline, whatever, blah blah blah, all that stuff that's going on right now. Yeah, if he gets his libel case reopened and he wins that, all bets are off. He's gonna be coming back stronger than ever. But yeah, just going back onto the scenes of my initial impressions and initial reactions to this cut. Yeah, it's definitely a better film. It is absolutely a better film. It is
Oh yeah.
absolutely better than what we got. But, and here's the big but, a lot of people are putting it like on the realms of like the one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Absolutely not. To
Dark
me,
Knight.
the biggest the biggest I guess comparison is this. And I'll speak about it from a video game standpoint. It's kind of like when a game comes out and it's fucking horrible. No Man's Sky, Destiny 2, uh Cyberpunk 2077, right? It's like that. But then,
Yeah.
you get the patches and you get the things finally worked on years later, right? And now it's a great thing. Destiny 2 is probably one of the best games right now to play. But that's the thing. When you compare that, we compare this Justice League now and all the upgrades it has against, let's say, Endgame. Obviously, who wins? And
Endgame.
I know that's a bad comparison to have because Endgame is an established franchise, blah blah blah, all that, right? But this is what you're being compared to when you're a superhero movie. Let's even compare it to the first Avengers.
Just compared to the first Marvel movie, Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1 still beats it.
Yeah, by a little bit. I will give that by a little bit,
In
and in
my
less time, and to kind of go back to the Joss Whedon, why he had to cut out a lot of things. I've heard reports, I've seen reports now of what Joss Whedon was given, and one of the biggest contributors to that was Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb had a thing against Zack Snyder, or from what I'm hearing, allegations of it, and that he had a lot to do with the tinkering around to do what to do with the current run, and just to see what, and people are gonna continue to shit on, freaking the Joss Whedon version, right, as well as Joss Whedon
yeah.
in general. Him getting shit on for the creepy shit he's done, absolutely. Him getting shit on because of this version of Justice League sucks, maybe warranted, but at the same time, when you have the amounts of things that one Zack Snyder tends to do, to put on like 5 movies in one movie, and having to divert from that and try to look down the line from 3 to 4 years from then, you're gonna have to cut out a lot of shit. Martian Manhunter need to be cut out. Why? Because he holds no applicable thing to the plot, to the plot in general. Um, although cool, Wonder Woman's initial, reveal with her fucking literally killing one dude, just the last dude by collapsing her gaunts together and just destroying the front part of the bank or museum they're in. Unnecessary. Cool,
Unnecessary.
absolutely, but honestly unnecessary. And also comes to the fact that, yeah, okay, Wonder Woman has no qualms with killing random people. I get it. Cool. The scene, just a bunch of scenes were just went on too long. Aquaman taking, I gave you this comparison or this critique a couple of days ago. Aquaman, when he comes back or when he saves that sailor, on the ship, this amazing view of Aquaman, on the top of the ship, and water is crashing behind him, going to his back, and he saves the guy, right? Slow motion
Yeah.
scene. Great scene. Awesome scene. Visually striking. He puts the guy down. He finds out that something's going on. And then you have another slow motion fucking scene of him drinking that whiskey bottle, throwing it down to some slow ass music, waves crashing around, taking off his shirt, and just, falling into the ocean, supposedly.
Yeah.
Great scene, completely unfucking necessary. Why? Because you literally just had this scene a minute ago.
Yeah.
And then, when you're told to cut down, to have a hard cap of, yeah, you got to be under 2 hours, you get why a lot of these scenes were cut. And it's just, I get it. It's a movie for the fans. I get it. This is basically for the fans who've kept the faith for the last 3 years, 4 years going now, and that they wanted to see specifically Zack Snyder's cut. And this is my biggest critique of the whole thing, for the whole thing. And Kevin knows where I'm going with this. This movie does nothing for new fans. Absolutely nothing. Other than, all right, cool, that looks great. But what does it do to bring in new fans?
No, because you would have had to need to have seen the first one to
Exactly.
understand and appreciate. It's so funny. It's one of the few times that you you know you have to see the old
Yeah.
to understand the new. Um
Is specifically a movie made for the fans who were rocking this since day one. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. But now in today's age, or in as of right now, where we're on, where DCEU or Warner Bros are already on, the next 3 or 4, DC films. What does this Justice League version of Zack Snyder's cut mean? Other than being just basically fan service for fans who wanted to see his version to begin with. It doesn't extend any storyline. What are they going to do with March Banner? I don't know, because you know what, Zack Snyder has been stated that he's not really working on anything right now. It might happen sometime down the line, but as of right now, there's no plans. And don't get me wrong, this is definitely the version that should have been out into theaters, even with all the things that it got going against it, being 4 hours long, that has to come back from Batman vs Superman, and being a rated R movie with three of the possibly the most well-renowned superheroes ever in existence. It's a hard sell. So this definitely is a movie strictly for those DC fans. But again, I'll keep on saying it. It doesn't necessarily bring new fans in, because this version of Zack Snyder's cut, this is it most likely. From what we're getting, this is it. This is We don't know if Ray Fisher's coming back. We don't know what's going to happen after Ezra Miller with Flashpoint, because those allegations and that video of him, roughing up a quote unquote fan. Ben Affleck's not coming back as Batman. We don't know what's going on with Henry Cavill. Possibly, he might possibly come back Batman. We
Well,
don't know
I
what's
think
going
he
on.
is signed. I think he is signed on to be on Flashpoint. There is talk now that
Yeah,
Henry Cavill might come back
might come
to
back, but
be
they're
in.
also but
Yeah.
they're still doing that Black Superman, right? Well, a different character, yes, but
Yes.
still, Gal Gadot's gonna be there because that's the most marketable character right now. Green Lantern, even though there's been reports to saying that Ryan Reynolds was super close to coming back, and Aquaman is gonna do his thing because one, he's fucking Aquaman, and that's
Which,
fucking
by
Jason Momoa. That's probably the most. That's one of the most attractive men in the last couple of years. Of course, they're gonna keep Jason Momoa.
which, by the way, over the weekend, another thing hit the interwebs, most
Yeah.
specifically Twitter.
Mhm.
One Ryan Reynolds
Mhm.
decided to um, go on the old Twitter machine
Mhm.
and live tweet him watching for the first time ever the Green
Yeah,
Lantern. He's never seen the Green Lantern from
I
beginning
heard
to
about.
finish. He didn't even go to his own premiere.
I heard about this.
He's never seen the movie. He sat down and watched it, live tweeted it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I like his opening line is like, "Is it too early to ask? Can we get a fucking Zack Snyder cut for this movie?" And there were some great lines, but he even kind of admitted at the end, he goes, "Maybe it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was."
Yeah.
Props to
Yeah.
all the guys that worked their ass off on this movie,
Yeah.
because it's more than just actors and directors and writers. It's guys that
Yes.
grips and special effects
Mhm.
coordinators and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of funny. Go back and check it out. I think
Yeah.
it's Fan City Reynolds on Twitter.
Yeah.
Go back and look at his live tweet thread from, I think it was Friday night or Thursday or Friday night, doing the live tweet of his viewing of Green Lantern. But yeah, he was very close, supposedly, to
Yeah.
being in the Snyder cut. Just there is a Green Lantern. Remember the Green Lantern Corps in the
Yeah.
the
The one
movie. You
Green
see him
Lantern
in the one
get
Green Lantern.
killed. Oh, do we even freaking talk about my initial my initial freaking rebuke about like how weak they made freaking Darkseid?
And again,
God.
I go back to, I think the Dark Side was supposed to be a lot stronger, but that was based on this movie being a two-part movie, and
Yeah.
then he was almost completely removed from it. And
Dude, he got freaking one-shotted by freaking Ares after Ares got his head chopped off by Wonder Woman, who supposedly got more, godlike powers because she tapped into her emotions. Come on, I understand the continuity is a weird thing to play with, but come on. You don't leave Darkseid, supposedly your big bad, that's supposed to then stretch out for the next number of years.
yeah,
Put him front and center in your first fucking Justice League movie like that? Come on. But yeah, that's we
um,
can get to that part.
no, and
Mm-mm.
again, we talked about a lot of other things that I think that kind of helped
We'll
out
get
our
yeah,
cause.
we'll get it some point.
We'll definitely get it in at some point. Let us know what you thought. What was your favorite part of the Justice League Snyder cut? Let us know in the comments below, or shoot us some stuff on social media at PS Comics I Love You, or PS Comics I Love the letter U
You
on Twitter. Also, the email, which is down below in the description. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Send all your hate mail
mhm.
towards me at Voice of Reason 23 about why Kevin doesn't like Cyborg and doesn't like Ray Fisher. But let us know what your favorite part of the Snyder Cut is. Also, going back to what we said earlier in the podcast, what do you think? What movie or what TV show should Marvel give Christopher Nolan, as he is rumored to be coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a director? I also want to end on this as a little like teaser. Is there is a fan theory going around. One of the big story plots from the Snyder Cut is Lois Lane is pregnant.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously.
But who is she pregnant with? It's assumed that is one and the only Clark Kent.
Yeah,
but
it might be.
But I'm telling you, she would be showing a lot more, because in the period that this movie takes place, which is months after Superman's death, and let's just assume that Superman freaking busted a Kryptonian nut in that fine Daily Planet reporter. There's no way she'd be showing a lot more. They would have. So it's not. Maybe it's not.
Well, here's the thing about that: we might never know, because we have no clue where it's ever going to be canonized again. That's the thing. That like, there's so many loose and even Warner Bros is coming out to say, not Warner Bros, but Warner Bros. Yeah, they came out to say that, hey guys, temper expectations after the cliffhangers, because we don't know what's going on.
True.
Like yeah, cool. It's great. Oh, also, I'll give you one theory. How did you feel about Wanda prior to Civil War?
What do you
Wanda the character?
Oh, and like the actress?
Just everything about her.
I love. First off, I love Lizzie Olsen. I'm a fan of hers. I think she's there's so much range in her.
Okay.
And
what do you feel about the character she played, Wanda?
The character,
at that point.
The version that she played of Wanda in Age of Ultron, I think was kind of cool, because you saw at the very beginning, you saw a manipulated young woman who was under the control of the Mind Stone and Baron von Strucker, and evolved in the storyline, and eventually becomes, you see a glimpse of what her fears and what her anger and her sorrow can unleash when the moment that Pietro is killed, spoiler alert, in Age of Ultron, she unleashes what we know now as chaos magic. She unleashes that chaos magic that just destroys those Ultron bots, and we're like, oh shit, this is about.
That was pre for that. So as you know, I'm going with this. They gave her a series.
Yep.
Flesh out her character way more. Would you possibly change your opinion if they gave Ray Fisher a Cyborg miniseries? And they flesh out his character way more.
And I think that, like I said, I jokingly said that I love the chemistry, not just the character of Cyborg and Flash had. Though I did have a problem with the graveyard scene. I still have a problem in the theatrical version. I have a problem with the Snyder cut, is them digging up Clark Kent's grave, and basically you're standing over the man's grave, having these quippy little conversations while Wonder Woman and Aquaman are sitting over there in the van, like almost like, hey, let the kid and the black guy go dig up the grave while we sit over here and drink coffee. And I get it that they're the rookies, so to speak. That came across as like, I know it's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about because the Snyder Cut was a much different, way more different. They actually, because the theatrical version, dumbass quip about Wonder Woman, but the Snyder Cut series talk about like, dude, we're digging up my hero. He was my hero.
At least he kind of owned up. But I still had a problem with the scene, but there was some chemistry there. I'd like to see a team up, and maybe they can flush out. I'd give him a second chance. I'd give Ray Fisher a second chance in a series, and let him flush it out, because he could possibly be like a John. Because Ray Fisher to me does kind of remind me of John Boyega a little bit. I just think that Ray, there's just so much. He's like Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Brie Larson is a good actress. Brie Larson is a Academy Award nominated actress. She is an acclaimed performer. She has range. She is so stiff and so robotic as a one-sided Captain Marvel in Captain Marvel. She's just so rigid. And I get that maybe people say, well, Carol Danvers is supposed to be that way, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, Carol Danvers has some spunk, has some personality to her. There was no personality in Captain Marvel. There's no personality with Cyborg in the Justice League cut, whether it be the Joss Whedon cut or the Snyder cut. Maybe he can continue on it and get into have him be a little bit more dramatic, but then put a little oil in it, let them loose it up their, 10 man and get a little bit more animated. And he becomes maybe not so goofy, but he almost kind of becomes the Teen Titans version of Cyborg that we know. He's, turning himself into a blender or so. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I would support, though I still right now, I'd say I do not like Ray Fisher as an actor. Would I give him a second chance? Absolutely. I think everyone has an opportunity with a different creator, a different writer, a different director. And I'm sitting here. I know we kind of kissed Zack Snyder's ass a little bit for the last couple hours, but give him somebody else. Let somebody else have a shot. Joss Whedon couldn't do it. Maybe Zack Snyder didn't quite hit it right on the head. Maybe he almost overdid it. I give him a second. I give Ray Fisher a second chance. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. I just feel like he got the shit end of the stick, in the sense of like, he's like, I keep on telling you, man, like the stuff I've been hearing about Jeff Loeb and just how Jeff Loeb been trying to poke around. And again, Jeff Loeb was one of those old DC writer heads where he wanted more focus on Wonder Woman and Batman than anyone else in that freaking thing. And
I just didn't know that Jeff Loeb was involved.
He's the guy. For a long time he was supposed to be the Kevin Feige of DC of DCEU.
But that's the thing is that Jeff Loeb, while the DCEU has been developed, he was the head of Marvel Television.
Oh, hang on a second.
Are you thinking of the same person? Because Jeff Loeb, I agree with you. Jeff Loeb is an acclaimed DC Comics writer. Wrote for Batman, wrote for Superman. Obviously wrote a lot for Marvel as well. Yeah. But Jeff Loeb, up until 2018, Jeff Loeb, 2019 rather, Jeff Loeb was running Marvel Television. Regardless, while he looks at let us know in your comments below what you think. What you think about some of the fan theories. The main fan theory is that, like JR said, that Lois Lane, who is pregnant with somebody's love child, a lot of fan theories are saying that it was Bruce Wayne. The Bruce Wayne scene that everyone thought that Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince were going to get together. It actually ends up being that Lois Lane and Bruce Wayne have a hookup, and that there's a moment where Lois is killed by Darkseid, or is she killed by Bat?
I'm pretty sure that the whole thing was when they missed, per se, right? The mother box fused into one, and basically it feels like the only one that lived through that was gonna be Superman, or even let's probably sometime when the original plans was going to be have another movie, that when Darkseid does come, something happens to Lois, because they've been said multiple times, Lois Lane is the key. Lois Lane is the key. Lois Lane is the key. Yeah. And so it was just that is.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below what your fan theories are on the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Let us know what your favorite part was, what you didn't like about it, what you would change about this version. And we will definitely have to have a little bit more of a discussion just on
eventually
the end scene with the post-apocalyptic, which of course featured, which by the way, we didn't talk about this. It does feature Batman. It does feature Amanda Heard as quote Aquaman. It does feature Flashpoint Flash, and it does include what's his name? Mangano.
Magneto. Yeah, dude, he's
Magdanello.
freaking awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it
I
comes
hope he
back.
stays,
It
bro.
was so funny. I'm watching. Yes, and I want my kids watch the Snyder Cut, by the way. And my 7-year-old was enthralled by it. And he sees the boat coming up to Lex Luthor's yacht, and he goes, "Dad, is that Deadpool?" And I go, "Nope." And he goes, "But it looks like Deadpool." I know, Dad, it's Deadpool. Deadpool doesn't exist in the DC universe. And he goes, "But my son, having never seen Deadpool, he goes, well, Dad, if there's a Marvel character that would exist in the DC universe, it would be Deadpool." And I go, "It's not Deadpool. Just watch it."
One quick second. I apologize to Jeff Loeb. It was not Jeff Loeb. It was Jeff Johns.
Okay. Yeah. Jeff Loeb was still working for Marvel.
Yeah.
Jeff Loeb,
Johns.
a hell of a writer.
Yeah.
Jeff Loeb, an acclaimed, long-standing writer in Marvel and DC Comics. He wrote, I think he wrote for Batman. I think he wrote the Batman versus Superman that Michael Turner did a lot of the artwork on.
Yeah, he did.
But nonetheless,
Jeff fucking Johns.
so the scene plays out much like it did in the theatrical version, but a little bit more drawn out. And I thought, again, it played better. I did not like I keep calling him Zuckerberg. It's not. He played Zuckerberg. The guy, the actor. I can't think of his name.
Him.
Anyways, him playing Lex Luthor, didn't like him. Again, sprinkle a little Snyder Cut dust on it, and it came out all right. Magdaleno, whatever his name is, the big guy from freaking Magic Mike. My son's watching it, like, and he goes, "But Dad, who is it? And he goes, I'm like, "You got who it is?" I go, "Jake, do you know who it is?" He goes, "Yeah, it's Slade." And I go, "Yes, my son knows who Slade Wilson is." And of course, he went with the name drop from Teen Titans Go to the Movies. But no, he understood. I had to explain to him who Deathstroke was, and that Deathstroke came before Deadpool, and that Deadpool that Rob Liefeld ripped off, just like Matina does, ripped off DC Comics and Deathstroke. And I mean, come on, it's Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson, Deathstroke, Deadpool. It is what it is. I like the scene, and I like the Deathstroke was on Batman's little Justice League Dark there at the end. So all right, my friend, it is always a pleasure. Again, we appreciate all your guys' support. Just know that we're busting our ass for you guys every single time we record these, because right now this is Monday night. I'm exhausted. I got about 4 hours of sleep last night. I couldn't sleep to save my butt. My shoulder continues to be a nagging problem. Gonna have it checked out tomorrow. So wish me luck. Knock on wood.
I got the shot today, man.
That's right. Freaking. So far, knock on wood, the only person on the crew to get the Rona is Mr. J.R. Cabacungan. And so far, the only person on the crew to get the Corona shot is Mr. J.R. Cabacungan. But then again, I'm telling you, bro, you may have already had immunity. I mean, you had it bad. You were on.
I did, but like, there's still variants out there. So I'm like, I ain't trying to. I'm taking no chances, bro. I'm gonna take whatever I can in order to protect myself as much as I possibly can, even if that means wearing masks. And so,
I'm still gonna wear. I had a guy jump on my case today. It's like, why do you wear a mask? Why do you instill fear? I'm like, that's what I feel comfortable, bro. And I'm probably gonna, and I'm like, I'm not. I'm just doing my part, bro. It's like it's how I feel comfortable. Yeah, they're uncomfortable, but it's how I feel comfortable. It's become the new norm. A year from now, I'm hoping I'm not still wearing a mask. I'm still going to hold on to a lot of my masks. I think there'll be a great topic to talk to my kids and my grandkids down the road about. But
the reason why I wear a mask now is so I don't fucking wear a mask a year from now. That is my reason. Like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? The reason, like, you're the reason why I gotta wear this fucking mask now. I'm gonna just blame it on them. Like, you're the fucking reason why I gotta wear this fucking mask still. Like, that's the reason why, motherfucker.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Don't forget to, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. Click subscribe, hit us with a little like, and ring the bell for future notifications, because we got all kinds of cool stuff coming down the pipeline as things begin to loosen up. We're going to as well. Maybe, just maybe, we'll take this show on the road. We are working on some things with Comic Asylum and other locales about doing this show live, and eventually doing some guests. So again, like and subscribe to the show, click the little ring notification to get future updates. And of course, leave us a comment. If you're listening to us, or if you're watching us on YouTube, head on over also and find us on all the major podcast networks, including Spotify, Anchor.fm, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. And again, like and subscribe, give us that 5-star rating. Give us a comment and review of what you like and dislike about the podcast. Let your friends know. Don't forget, if we get to 100 followers on the podcast networks, if we get 100 likes on this YouTube channel, if we get to what else did we say?
100, like just basically 100 all across social media.
100 across the board on all social media.
Yeah.
JR and I got some cool stuff we're going to throw your way. And also don't forget to share us on your social media sites. Add us to your stories on Instagram. Add us onto your stories on Facebook. Do what you retweet, tweet, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Let us know, and we will give you some bonus drawings as we are anxiously waiting to give away that Art Germ and J. Scott Campbell variant of Wonder Woman. And bro, I forgot to mention this.
Spit it out. Come on, spit it out.
We'll end on this. We'll end on some good news. Got some great news. We
Spit it
talked
out,
about
man.
this just a comment. We just talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
When are we going to get to go back to Comic-Con?
Yeah.
December 18th, December 19th.
What?
Ontario Convention Center.
Oh, okay.
Comic-Con Revolution Ontario is back.
Okay.
This year. December 18th and the 19th. Tickets are available now.
I will say, to kind of put on that note too, the Comic Con that I went to in Oregon actually is taking reservations as well too. I'll keep you all updated on that.
Here. We will keep you posted too. Chick is also looking into Amazing Con in Las Vegas if they are going to bring that back. Also, there is also a rumored November event going to take place in San Diego as a mini San Diego Comic-Con ran by CCI, ran by Comic-Con International. So we're keeping an eye on that. But in stone, selling tickets. It is live now. Comic-Con Revolution is saying, fuck you, coronavirus. We are going back to the con. With, of course, some protocols and stuff like that. But again, if you do have tickets that you purchased for the 2020 show, please head on over to the website and let them know, and they will come out with some kind of arrangement. If not, get your tickets. Also, all kids, I believe, under the age of 12 are free with a paid adult version of the ticket. It's a great show. It's a great time. It's a great local convention. It's a good starter convention. If you've never been to a Comic-Con before, it's a good starter con, and I highly recommend it. And it's just a couple of days.
Was 3 years ago. So,
and if you're looking for some presents for Christmas for your favorite podcast hosts, dude, you can find some badass long boxes to flip there in Ontario. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your week, and we will continue to bring you all the fun and good news here on this little podcast. And as always, my friend, deuces. It's peace out there. Have fun. Wear your damn mask.
Yeah.